and staying true to youth development and advocacy.
Catch the action each and every Saturday as we roll out buzzy segments. What say you?
Youth for Chat,
Life Skills,
Global Connect, and Bust the Youth.
That's the Talk Up Youth radio show, Saturdays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM. Talk Up Youth, Miss Effie.
Talk Up Youth. Don't miss it.
Ready to tackle that building project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
Learn about smart betting strategies with AnyBet. Bet wisely, enjoy responsibly, and maximize your success. The temperature by AnyBet is
31 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 28 in Montego Bay.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
In Nationwide News at this hour, business leaders and local commentators are hailing the Prime Minister's contribution to the budget debate as thoughtful and prudent.
It's a very responsible budget because no run with it, no excessive spending, nothing that we're going to have to figure out. Let's spend now and figure it out after an election. Very little evidence of that, if any.
And the Prime Minister credits his administration's investments in the security forces as the driving force behind the decline of gangs and violent crimes in the country.
The government is set to invest $200 million in the Hope for Children Trust Fund.
The PNP is welcoming the Supreme Court's decision granting an interim injunction barring the government from making Portmore a parish.
This action by the court is an important step in upholding the Constitution and protecting the democratic will of the people of Portmore.
Julian Silvera to make another attempt for bail in the Court of Appeal on Tuesday.
In news from the rest of the world, St. Vincent to provide US with data requested on Cuban workers' mission.
London Heathrow resumed some flights today and hopes to return to full operation tomorrow.
In headline sports, 4 more Jamaicans go in search of medals on day 2 at World Indoors in China.
And later in our broadcast, in the cover story at 5:35, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says a rural school bus service will be rolled out starting September.
We will implement a dedicated school bus system for rural Jamaica to ensure equitable access, improved attendance.
The Transport Minister, Darrell Vaz, will join us with the details.
In Public Opinion at 6:26, we ask, what's your reaction to Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness's budget presentation? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90 FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, immediate past president of the MSME Alliance, Donovan Wignall, and public commentator Jermaine Barrett will assess the contributions in the budget debate so far.
At 7, with almost 50% of Jamaica's female population experiencing menopause, one of the country's leading menopausal experts, Dr. Charmaine Thomas, is hosting a workshop aiming to revolutionize menopause care. Dr. Thomas will join us.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile. Nationwide 90 FM, Nationwide Radio, JM.com, and on the Nationwide app, available on the Google Play and the App Store. This Friday afternoon, it's a lovely Friday, March 21, 2025.
News at 5 is brought to you by Fostrich Company Limited, fostering rich customer service.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
And now to the details. Business leaders and local commentators are hailing Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness's budget presentation as a prudent commitment to addressing the needs of the Jamaican people. Holness delivered his 10th budget presentation as Prime Minister in the House of Representatives on Thursday. He's being commended for resisting the urge to run with it ahead of an election. Mahiri Stewart has more in this report.
It was one of the Prime Minister's longest contributions to the annual budget debates, and according to the president of the Jamaica Employers Foundation, Wayne Chen, it was also one of Dr. Holness's most prudent.
It's a very responsible budget because the temptation has always been, and we can't take it out of the context that this is an election year. You have an election coming in a few weeks or months. It has been very prudent. No run with it, no excessive spending, nothing that we're going to have to figure out. Let's spend now and figure it out after an election. Very little evidence of that, if any.
Among the headline initiatives, the Prime Minister announced a $1 billion solidarity program. The program is expected to disburse one-time $20,000 payments to 50,000 vulnerable Jamaicans who are not enrolled on PATH, Social Pension, or NIS. Recipients cannot have benefited from the recent reverse income tax credit either. Holness has announced a raft of home ownership measures, including an increase in the loan limit for NHT contributors. On the matter of vehicle registration, the first certificate of fitness for new motor vehicles will be issued for 5 years instead of 1. Dr. Holness also announced that 60 buses will be retrofitted to accommodate the rollout of a rural school bus service in September. Mr. Chen says the budget demonstrates that the Prime Minister has heard the complaints of the Jamaican people and is responding.
That when you look at the goodies that the Prime Minister announced yesterday, and he has to, you have many constituencies listening in on the budget. You want the aspiring homeowner who is frustrated by a young couple and they see the price of housing moving and they're thinking, when will we ever own a home, the car, the Jamaican dream? You see the tweaks to the National Housing Trust, which doesn't affect the consolidated fund. It doesn't affect the central budget. But the tweaks are there because that cry is heard and it is addressed. Another big one, and you can't take it again out of context. The signal that we hear you, the bureaucracy is too heavy. The day-to-day annoyances, they having to go every year to renew your vehicle fitness, to pay the licensing, the long lines in the collectorates.
In the meantime, public commentator and businessman Kevin O'Brien Chang says it's hard to identify an area of the country's welfare that was not addressed by the Prime Minister in his budget presentation.
The word we always hear with Andrew Holness' budget, people always use this word, comprehensive. As I say, if there's a football team, it's not just 3 strikers up there trying to score goals. The whole team was involved, from the goalies, defenders, everybody. I don't think there's one area of Jamaica's welfare you could say was not addressed. And if as a voter listening, you think that my life is going to get better in some way. The quality of life, which is what all elections are about. It is what governance is about. I elected somebody to make my quality of life better, or my family, right? And in some way, it's going to get better. There's more efficiency. There is the children's school bus. There is agriculture with the irrigation. So you see a budget which is going to make the country better off and individuals better off.
Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Holness says the $1 billion Solidarity Program is to assist those citizens who are not benefiting from other government initiatives.
We recognize that many of our citizens are in need but do not benefit from any existing government program. To address this, we are introducing the $1 billion Solidarity Program. And in its first iteration, we will be providing a one-time cash grant of $20,000 to 50,000 vulnerable individuals who are not enrolled in PATH, Social Pension, NIS, or the reverse income tax credit.
The Prime Minister, who was making his contribution to the budget debate in the House of Representatives yesterday, says the initiative will support a wide cross-section of needy individuals.
The state is concerned about your welfare. The state cares about you. We stand in solidarity with you. So the initiative will support elderly persons in need, youth not engaged in education or employment, micro businesses affected by disaster, low-income informal workers, medically indigent individuals, and persons with disabilities facing economic hardship. We have to find all of these people who are in the society who are left out and who are suffering.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness.
And Dr. Holness says the government will invest $200 million in the Hope for Children Trust Fund.
Madam Speaker, any Jamaican child born on or after the 60th anniversary of independence, that's August 6, 2022, who is part of a PATH household or a ward of the state will be eligible to register under the program. We are making progress with determining the legal structure of the fund and examining options for how the fund will be managed and administered. And I'm pleased to report that during the upcoming financial year, the government will seed the fund with 200 million Jamaican dollars. And again, I put out the call to the private sector, start looking at making contributions to this fund. We welcome it.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. Dr. Holness announced the Trust Fund last year as a targeted intervention to reduce social gaps in the country. The fund is designed to provide eligible children with a long-term savings account funded through annual contributions from the government. The funds will accumulate with interest and will be accessible on or after the child turns 18 years old.
Still on the Prime Minister's budget presentation, he says his administration's targeted approach to investing in the country's security forces has led to fewer gangs and safer communities.
We will continue to invest in our security forces and support the transformation of the JCF into a modern, professional and technology-driven security force. We will continue to target gangs, which account for 70% of murders in the country. If we focus on eliminating gangs, we can reduce our murder rate to below the regional average of 15 per 100,000. And I'm pleased to announce that police intelligence now estimates that there are fewer than 100 active gangs in Jamaica since the beginning of the year, coming from 350.
According to the JCF, as at March 15 this year, 158 homicides has been committed across the country. That's a 30% reduction when compared to the corresponding period last year. Dr. Holness says the gains are a direct result of sustained investments in the JCF and the Jamaica Defence Force. The Prime Minister says up to 2019, the national security capital expenditure had surged by $16 billion.
We are confident that this downward trajectory will persist as these results stem from our deliberate planning, strategic investments, and targeted efforts to dismantle organized criminal gangs. In 2015, before my administration took office, capital expenditure for national security was $2.67 billion. By 2018, we increased the spending on security to $12.7 billion. And in 2019, we made a record $19.5 billion investment to modernize our security apparatus.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness.
The opposition PNP has welcomed the Supreme Court's decision to grant an interim injunction blocking the government's move to declare Portmore Jamaica's 15th parish. Chief Justice Brian Sykes granted the injunction on Thursday. The injunction will remain in force until the parties return to court on March 28. Member of Parliament for South St. Catherine, Fitz Jackson, says the move protects the will of the residents.
This action by the court is an important step in upholding the Constitution and protecting the democratic will of the people of Portmore. The government's unilateral effort to impose parish status without proper consultation or consent from residents is undemocratic and blatant gerrymandering. The People's National Party fully supports the residents and stakeholders of Portmore in their plight for inclusion in matters that concern them and is willing to take all legal steps to ensure that their voices are heard.
Mr. Jackson maintains that Portmore's unique local governance structure should be preserved.
Portmore's unique local governance structure, which was developed and maintained by its residents since its inception, must not be overridden for political gain. The people of Portmore have long enjoyed governance through a distinct framework, and any change to that must involve their full and informed participation, not political maneuvering on the brink of an election or at any time.
Fitz Jackson, Member of Parliament for South St. Catherine. He and Mayor of Portmore, Leon Thomas, are named as claimants in the lawsuit. The Attorney General, Dr. Derek McCoy, and Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie are the respondents.
You're listening to the news on Nationwide at 5. We'll have more after these.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is
31 degrees Celsius here in Kingston, 28 out west in Montego Bay.
Digicel, live life your way, not free what? Digicel postpaid. With Digicel postpaid, it's all about you. Sign up or pay your bills to stay active for a chance to win a luxurious all-expense paid trip for two to Royalton, Antigua, with round-trip flights on us. Every week you could win exciting prizes: event tickets, gym memberships, spa packages, excursion adventures, restaurant vouchers, and more. When you opt in on the My Digicel app, life your way starts now with Digicel. Better connected.
Promotion ends March 31. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Continuing the news. Remittances to Jamaica have fallen for a third straight year as economic uncertainty looms amid the Trump administration's tariff policies. According to statistics from the Bank of Jamaica, remittances fell by 6% or nearly $17 million in December 2024 compared to the corresponding period for 2023. The country also recorded a 0.4% decline year on year. It's twinned with news from the two largest central banks, namely the U.S. Federal Reserve and the Bank of England, that they'll both be holding interest rate cuts in anticipation of further actions by Donald Trump in his ongoing tariff war. Dana Davy tells us more.
In the latter part of last year, central banks across the world started adopting favorable monetary policies with interest rate cuts to stimulate economic growth. The Bank of Jamaica initiated 4 quarters of cuts, reducing its base rate from 7% to 6%. However, this all changed in February when BOJ Governor Richard Biles informed the nation it was being forced to adopt a wait-and-see approach as the Trump administration's trade war escalated. The BOJ's stance was also prophetic. Just a month later, both the U.S. Federal Reserve and the Bank of England adopted similar stances. The Federal Reserve said Wednesday it was leaving interest rates unchanged. It warned of rising uncertainty about the direction of the economy, in part because of President Donald Trump's tariff agenda. The Fed said its key federal funds rate, which serves as a benchmark for interest rates throughout the economy, would remain at about 4.5%. The Bank of England also left interest rates unchanged. It noted that the UK economy is contending with uncertainty around global trade and looming stagnation at home. And Jamaica is not immune from the effects. The US and the UK remain the largest and second largest countries for foreign exchange remittances. Total remittance inflows to Jamaica for 2024 were $3.4 billion. It's a decline of about 0.2% compared to 2023. With growing uncertainty in the global market, 2025 is similarly shaping up to be a difficult year for Jamaica. Dana Davy for Nationwide News.
Former West St. Mary Member of Parliament, the PNP's Jolyon Silvera, is set to make another attempt for bail in the Court of Appeal on Tuesday, March 25. That's according to a court schedule, which was released earlier this week. It says the hearing is scheduled for 2:30 p.m. before Justice Nicole Foster Pusey. The bail application will be heard in chambers. This is Silvera's second push for bail. He was denied bail in May 2024 by the Supreme Court. The 52-year-old is charged with the murder of his wife, Melissa Silvera. He's also charged with using a firearm to commit a felony. Melissa was found dead in the couple's home in Stony Hill, St. Andrew on November 10, 2023. Initial reports were that the 42-year-old woman died in her sleep from natural causes. However, an autopsy later revealed that she died from gunshot wounds. Silveira was arrested and charged in January last year. He's been behind bars ever since.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, says his government is compiling information requested by U.S. authorities regarding Cuban medical workers in the country. However, Dr. Gonsalves maintains that the professionals are not victims of human trafficking, as claimed by the Trump administration. The U.S. announced plans to revoke visas of foreign government officials whose countries employ Cuban doctors and nurses. The U.S. Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, says Washington is expanding a policy targeting forced labor linked to the Cuban labor export program. Dr. Gonsalves says all data are being gathered and would be sent to the United States State Department. He says the facts will show that his country has no human trafficking or exploitation of Cuban professionals. Dr. Gonsalves is urging the U.S. authorities to review the facts objectively.
Some flights have resumed at Heathrow Airport in London on Friday following a power outage caused by a fire at an electrical substation. The outage forced Europe's busiest hub to shut down for roughly 18 hours. The fire caused widespread cancellations, stranding roughly 200,000 passengers. At least 1,350 flights have been disrupted at the airport. The blaze started just before midnight on Thursday at a substation 2 miles from the airport. It took firefighters around 7 hours to bring the blaze under control. The London Fire Brigade said its investigation would focus on the electrical distribution equipment at the substation. After power was restored, a British Airways jet touched down just before sunset on Friday. Further arrivals followed, including a short flight from Manchester in northwest England. The British government temporarily lifted restrictions on overnight flights to help clear the backlog.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, business leaders and local commentators are hailing the Prime Minister's contribution to the budget debate as thoughtful and prudent.
It's a very responsible budget because no run with it, no excessive spending, nothing that we're going to have to figure out. Let's spend now and figure it out after an election. Very little evidence of that, if any.
And the Prime Minister credits his administration's investments in the security forces as the driving force behind the decline of gangs and violent crimes across the country.
The government is to invest $200 million in the Hope for Children Trust Fund.
The PNP is welcoming the Supreme Court's decision granting an interim injunction barring the government from making Portmore a parish.
I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
And listeners, you can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app, available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
News at 5 was brought to you by Fosrich Company Limited, fostering rich customer service.
Don't fall victim to deepfakes.
Watch out.
Protect yourself.
What is the
For more
TV?
information, visit broadcastingcommission.org or
Here ya,
scan
baby.
the QR code on screen.
Deepfake. No deepfake can't catch me.
Junior, you know say AI can make something will look and sound just like you? One day Junior get a voice note from her granny. Say the food done, the medication done and she need money urgently.
Need money urgently? But Miss Pat no like ask people for things.
And as so comes Judy get suspicious.
So what she do?
She asks the neighbor figure check pan her. Junior, the lady quite alright over there make her Sunday dinner.
So the voice note a deepfake?
Yes, my love. Come, your food ready.
Right now it look like we have to outsmart the AI. But wait, I really want dege dumpling here, give me.
Me I wonder if AI can make one deep fake dumpling for you.
To learn more about deepfakes, visit www.broadcastingcommission.org.
Win with love. Use your JMMB Money Transfer Prepaid Visa Card from October 1, 2024 to June 30, 2025 for a chance to win your share of a $2.1 million grand prize, plus a $100,000 university cash grant and cash back from paying tolls and shopping with your card. Receive money 24/7 in minutes with Visa Direct via MoneyGram, Zoom, Remitly, or directly through RIA and Zoom. Visit jm.jmmb.com/money-transfer for full details on how to enter and win with love. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act. Conditions apply.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Having bagged a solitary bronze on the first day, Jamaican athletes will go hunting for more medals on Day 2 of the World Athletics Indoor Championships in Nanjing, China. Day 2 gets underway for Jamaica at 9:25 tonight with Demario Prince and Jerome Campbell going in the first round heat of the men's 60 meters hurdles. Then at 10:22, Jodine Williams and Natasha Morrison will enter the women's 60 meters first round. UTEC student Raymond Richards, he scaled 2 meters 28 in the men's triple jump for the country's lone medal so far at the championship. The other Jamaican in the event, Olympic finalist Romain Beckford, was 9th in the final. His best leap, 2 meters 14. Two other Jamaicans contested finals today. Jordan Scott, well, he just missed the podium after finishing 4th in the men's triple jump. In the final, he did 17 meters 10, his best jump, while Rohan Watson placed 5th in the men's 60 meters final in 6.59 seconds. National outdoor record holder Rashid McDonald, after qualifying for the men's 400 meters semifinals as one of the fastest losers with a third place 46.72, failed to make the final with a 5th place finish in the semifinal in 47.22. None of the two Jamaican women in the 400 meters made it past the first round. Joan Reid did not start. She was scheduled to run in Heat 1, while Leah Anderson was 4th in Heat number 2 in 52.86 seconds. Former Edwin Allen High School standout Serena Cole and the World 100 meters hurdles record holder Toby Amusan are among the big names registered to participate at Velocity Fest 16 at Ashenheim Stadium, Jamaica College, come Saturday. Cole and Amusan will clash in Heat 3 of the women's 100 meters. The men's race will feature Kishon Thomas and Akeem Blake. Meanwhile, the men's discus will feature Chad Wright and Frederick Dakers. In just under an hour's time, Jamaica's national senior men's football team will take to the field at Arnoldsville to face St. Vincent and the Grenadines in their CONCACAF Gold Cup first leg qualifier at 6 o'clock Jamaica time, so that's about 33 minutes from now. The teams are battling over 2 legs for one of 7 available spots to the regional football showpiece later on in the year. Mount Pleasant Academy's captain Sule McCalla, speaking ahead of the game, says he's anxiously awaiting kickoff. In fact, he scored on debut against Trinidad and Tobago a month ago and says that has opened his appetite for more big game successes.
It's a wonderful feeling to come and represent a country, so it's feel great. It's very different. The intensity is very high, so I adapted well quickly, so I'm looking forward to it. It feels great to know that you represent and even score for your country, so it's a wonderful feeling.
The teams will meet next Tuesday at Sabina Park in the second leg, with the winners on aggregate advancing to the Gold Cup. The 2 finalists in last year's Senior Cup, now the Michael Holding JCA Senior Cup, will meet at Up Park Camp come tomorrow. The JDF and the defending champions Kingston Cricket Club, both teams opened their campaign with victories last week. The champions Kingston CC, they scored an innings and 4-run win over Boys Town, and the JDF were also innings winners on an innings and 28-run win. Melbourne will be hoping for their second win on the spin. They take on the UA team over at Melbourne. Melbourne beat Kingston and St Andrew by an innings and 78 runs in their opening game. 10 other games are scheduled to be on the bill for tomorrow. And just going back to a piece of football before we close out, defending champions Fraser's Whip will play away to Springers United when action resumes in the Jamaica Women's Premier League at Granville Community Centre on Saturday. Meanwhile, Federal United will host Wi-Fi United at Prison Oval. UWI will welcome Onyx Gardens at Upper Dewey Bowl. Proven Girls are at home to Cavalier at York Sports Complex. And Los Perfectos will tussle with Real Moby at Malgully Community Centre in Manchester. And the Club Lyon have been removed from this summer's Club World Cup by FIFA after failing to meet tournament regulations on multi-club ownership. The Mexican side had been scheduled to face Chelsea of England in their opening fixture of the 32-team competition, which takes place between June 14 and July 13 in the United States. However, the world governing body determined that they and another team from Mexico, Pachuca, did not comply with rules that do not allow clubs to directly or indirectly hold or deal in the securities of shares of another participating team in the competition. Both clubs are owned by Grupo Pachuca, and FIFA said in a statement that a replacement for Lyon will be announced in due course. Lyon disagreed with FIFA's decision and said they would appeal to the sport's highest court if they were denied a place at the big tournament. And that will do it for sports. We're going to be back with more at 6:05.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
Since 2016, 156,000 more Jamaicans are working. This is more than any other time in our history. Your government is caring for you.
The time brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister is
5:30.
Crispy, crunchy, tantalizing fried chicken only at Bird Shack. Satisfy your hunger today. The temperature brought to you by Bird Shack Fried Chicken in Kingston, Montego Bay and Ochivios is
31 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. It's 28 in the western city, Montego Bay.
Are you ready to debate, dominate, and drive change? The public sector debate competition is back, bigger, bolder, and better than ever. Public sector employees, this is your chance to showcase your skills, sharpen your arguments, and tackle the nation's biggest issues head on. Don't wait. Registration closes March 28, 2025. Sign up now at publicsectortransformation.gov.jm. Brought to you by the Transformation Implementation Unit, building a better public sector for all.
March into savings with ATL's March Madness Sale. Get up to 50% off select appliances, electronics, and hard-to-find parts all month long. Upgrade your home and business with everything you need at unbeatable prices and best quality brands. Shop in store at Kingston, Ochivios, and Montego Bay, or beat the traffic and buy online at atljamaica.com and get island-wide delivery. ATL, the best brands and the best service. Sale ends March 31 while stocks last. Conditions apply.
Win with love. Use your JMMB Money Transfer Prepaid Visa Card from October 1, 2024 to June 30, 2025 for a chance to win your share of a $2.1 million grand prize, plus a $100,000 university cash grant and cash back from paying tolls and shopping with your card. Receive money 24/7 in minute with Visa Direct via MoneyGram, Zoom, Remitly, or directly through RIA and Zoom. Visit jm.jmnb.com/money-transfer for full details on how to enter and win with love. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming, and Lotteries Act. Conditions apply.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales for a better choice in the electrical business.
Digicel, live life your way, no free what? Digicel postpaid. With Digicel postpaid, it's all about you. Sign up or pay your bills to stay active for a chance to win a luxurious all-expense paid trip for two to Royalton, Antigua. With round-trip flights on us, every week you could win exciting prizes. Event tickets, gym memberships, spa packages, excursion adventures, restaurant vouchers, and more. When you opt in on the My Digicel app, life your way starts now. With Digicel, better connected.
Promotion ends March 31. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming, and Lotteries Act.
Come into the parlor, there's a welcome there for you.
Welcome to the Mayor's Parlor with Desmond McKenzie.
From 1 to 6 p.m. every Sunday, you'll now get more of your favorite vintage music.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Nationwide 90 FM will transform your Sunday into a musical time machine that will take you way back.
Come with me. Let's go back in time.
This magic moment.
Journey into yesteryear with Desmond McKenzie in the Mayor's Parlor.
I've got the music to jog your memory and make you smile.
Put your sweet lips a little closer to the phone.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the best in vintage music.
Come into the Mayor's Parlor every Sunday between 1 and 6 p.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Those oldies but goodies reminds me of you.
Good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on Nationwide at 5. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Donna Hope.
And it's time for the cover story. We are turning our attention, still focused, on the Prime Minister's marathon budget debate yesterday. One of the announcements that Jamaica's rural school bus service will be implemented starting in September. The Prime Minister made the announcement in his contribution yesterday.
We will implement a dedicated school bus system for rural Jamaica to ensure equitable access, improved attendance, and enhanced safety while easing financial burdens on families. Phase 1 is already underway with the JUTC expanding services in Clarendon, Morant Bay, and Linstead, providing affordable transportation for students. We will add 12 additional 45-seater buses to the already existing fleet of 10 buses, giving the Montego Bay area a total of 22 buses.
The Prime Minister says 60 retrofitted buses will be piloted come September, with another 40 to be implemented by next January.
Phase 2 will see 100 fully refurbished buses deployed across parishes, with 60 buses in September 2025 for the start of the new school year, and another 40 buses by January 2026. These are school buses used in the American system. They will be refurbished. The doors will be placed on the correct side, the entrance doors. They will be governed, and I think most importantly, the speed on these buses will be governed. So they won't be able to drive above a certain set speed to ensure safety of the children.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness joining us now to discuss Transport Minister Darrell Vaz. Good afternoon, Minister.
Good afternoon, Minister Vaz.
Afternoon, Ricardo. Afternoon, Donna. After the listeners.
Thank you so much for joining us. Let me start by asking you the parishes. So we hear there's a rural service. Obviously, what's that, 60 plus 40, that's 100 in total. How are you deploying these across the country?
It will average 7 buses per parish, excluding Kingston and St. Andrew, which obviously has the concessions in place through JUTC. Mm-hmm. But obviously some bigger parishes will get more, smaller parishes, but an average of 7 buses per parish for the 13 parishes.
Mm-hmm. Minister,
let me.
Yes.
Mm-hmm, go ahead.
Go ahead, Minister Vaz. Yes.
Yeah. Let me just give a quick overview. But before that, I just want to just add my own sense to the Prime Minister's presentation yesterday. Mm-hmm. I think you'd have heard me publicly from 2016 saying that Prime Minister Holness had the potential to be the best Prime Minister that this country has ever seen if he was able to implement the vision that he outlined, which is connecting the dots. Every leader has a vision, but unfortunately, in some cases, they are not able to implement and connect the dots. So the PM yesterday for me has confirmed to me, and this is my personal opinion, that he actually is in fact the best Prime Minister the country has ever had. And he had 2 firsts yesterday in his budget presentation. First being, as I said, the best that I've heard in my lifetime, And secondly, the longest. I think he had the longest by a few minutes. I think former Prime Minister Michael Manley, I think, went a few minutes below him. I think it was 1980, if I'm not mistaken, or 79.
Yes.
But I just want to give kudos because what I heard yesterday was a clinical outline to the country. First of all, a history lesson for those who are too young to know the history of where we're coming from, but most importantly, connecting all the dots in terms of how to move Jamaica to where we really deserve to be and to enjoy the prosperity that the people should have.
But
so I say that, and
yes.
Right?
Yes.
No, I'm just giving our thing. So let me get straight into this. So as he would have said, we have been extended the JUTC services and also through Montego Bay Metro. The 12 buses that he spoke to are actually there and have been there for quite a few months. Those are now able to serve another 8 schools between Hanover and St. James. So, truth be told, between April 24 and January 25, the Montego Bay Metro I'm speaking to now, 31.68% of the ridership was kids, school children, about 210,000 rides over that period. So I'm just giving an impact of what it's doing and what it did for the enhancement of the school, the rural school system. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we have extended routes through JUTC in terms of St. Catherine, as you said, Clarendon, St. Thomas, St. Mary. We're now going to Castleton and Granby Hall. And just today, we announced a new route, Nagahead to Spanish Town through Dunby Holding. So that also, although that's not a dedicated school bus, it does ease the pressure of the children getting to school and also the cost. Because as you know, the JUTC part students don't pay, and the rates are between $20 and $50 for school children. So that also is huge in terms of the impact that would have had.
So it's a commendable effort, Minister Vaz, that will hopefully bear fruit in the way that the Prime Minister and yourself and the team intend. I was curious as well about the aspect where the buses would be, in a lot of ways, the speed would be delimited on the buses to ensure that. So tell us a little bit about that. Yes.
Let me just give you. So basically, I've been grappling from I mentioned in May 2023 when I took the transport portfolio as how to implement a national rural school bus transport. Mm-hmm. The initial intention was to use the existing public passenger vehicles and give them a subsidy by government to be able to get the children from the districts to the schools. We worked several models, and the subsidy came up to billions of dollars to do it right across the 13 parishes. Mm-hmm. So the bottom line is that even now we're still working on that, but we just can't come up with a formula, even on a phased basis, that we will be able to sustain it in terms of the cost of it. Mm-hmm. So here comes an idea of using refurbished school buses, which is what he mentioned yesterday. These buses are manufactured in the United States and leased to the counties through the schools. Mm-hmm. So they are leased and they are serviced, a lease contract, which includes servicing, and at the end of the lease, they come back in. I got a call that there's 100 of them available, just out of the blue, because I bought one for Portland through my foundation for East Portland and West Portland. And I was doing a pilot project, but independent of the national school bus. I was doing this in my capacity as member of parliament. So I delved deeper into it and realized that I could buy the 100 buses from the manufacturer, refurbish them, and bring them to Jamaica and put them in at one time, 60 and 40. These buses are coming in all the time, so I can get more if I need, and I know I'll need more, but I'll come to that. So what are we going to do with these? We are going to put them on the major corridors. We're going to work with the schools, which I did in Portland already, through the Ministry of Education, to decide the corridors that these buses will ply.
Right, 'cause that was going to be my
Ply.
question. Is it that the students are going to go to some central location based on the traffic that you see now?
The major townships and on the major corridors to the schools.
Okay.
That's the start. But let me just develop on the point I'm making. So basically, they will be able to take the bus, part students, free of cost, and we are extending the same thing that we are doing with the JUTC, where kids will pay between $20 and $50 depending on the length of the route. But the good part about that is that right now, rural students are paying between $300 and $500 a day. Now, don't get me wrong, because they still have to get to the school bus. So there still is a cost to that. But to pay $20 or $50 is going to be a significant savings to the parents, which is going to total anywhere between $1,500 and $2,500 per week per student. Now, bottom line is that those buses will be operated by the schools. They get subvention, and the monies used from the subsidy will be used to continue to maintain them. So they will hire the drivers. We will train the drivers at JUTC through JUTC and HART, and JUTC will also set up to help to maintain and service the buses so that we don't have the downtime. The buses will be used in the,
so the buses
will be used in the morning and parked and used in the evening. So it's not something that's going to be up and down all day, specifically to get the children to school and get them back home in the afternoon.
But you're leaving the responsibility of hiring the drivers to the schools.
Yes. So the arrangement that we have as of right now would be to get the post of drivers for the schools, for the buses. But obviously that's a work in progress as we speak, because if they need JUTC to recruit and train,
right,
it's just a matter of the logistics in terms of how they are paid and how the buses are serviced. But we have a template. There are other private school buses that schools are using now, so we're also working with them to see exactly how they do it. But follow me closely now.
Well, on, just before we follow you, we're up on the break, but I want to ask about the PATH students. Is it that the identification of the PATH students would be through the school, so the school would say to the driver?
Yes. Absolutely. Just exactly what's happening with JUTC now. Same exact thing, because the PATH program money is sent to the school. So the bottom line is that the school has that money already, which that would also go towards helping to maintain and keep the buses, pay the drivers, and also keep the buses.
But in a way that protects their dignity, right? That doesn't single them out as being PATH students, because sometimes that becomes a problem.
Absolutely, and all of this is going to be a cashless system. So it's all going to be
okay.
It's all going to be technology.
We have to go for the break, right, Minister Vaz. We're going to take the break and come back and continue the discussion. Stay with us.
Clear your barrels and personal shipments with ease and convenience. Request a customs contactless clearance today through CCP at jca.gov.jm. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
5:47.
Me grew up as my granny save her money under her mattress. But at an old time something, that's where I save my money in the bank. And because I want to buy a little house, I also save in a building society. We have to be smart with how we save our money.
So what if the bank crash?
Well, that's where JDIC comes in. Make I tell you something. With the JDIC Deposit Insurance Scheme, once you save your money in a commercial bank, merchant bank, or building society, your deposit is covered up to a maximum of $1.2 million per depositor per financial institution if the institution fails. All the information that you need is available at jdic.org, and you can follow their social media platform for more information.
JDIC, protecting deposits for you and me.
Want to reduce your high electricity bills? Then Peak Energy has the solution for you. From grid tied to hybrid solar inverters with full lithium-ion battery pack. Installation and maintenance packages available. Visit us at Shop 1, 3 Mosquito Valley Road, Red Hill, St. Andrew. Call 876-279-8820 or 944-0668. Or email us at peakenergysolutionsja@gmail.com. Peak Energy for everything solar.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. We have with us the Minister of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport. Today he's focused on transport, Darrell Vaz, giving us the details about the implementation, the coming implementation, sooner than some expected, September, of a rural school bus service. So far we're hearing 7 per parish to start with. They will be deployed along major thoroughfares in the parishes, 13 parishes, Kingston and St. Andrew, of course, already serviced by the JUTC. PATH students will ride for free, and the schools will be responsible for hiring the drivers. The JUTC will do the training. Minister?
Minister, is the minister still with us?
Non-PATH students would be $20 to $50 depending on the length of the travel, the route.
But a question for you. Yes.
Which is now currently $300 to $500 a day per student.
Usually.
But,
yes. Usually rural students pay a lot more.
I want to develop on another point. Mm-hmm.
Yes, but just a quick question though, Minister, because a lot of the responsibility, it seems, for managing this transportation system will fall on the schools. So will it be that someone will be identified in the school or trained in the school to take on additional duties, or is it that the plan is that someone new will have to be?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And JUTC and HART will work with them and also oversee, because the fact of the matter is that maintenance is going to be a key in terms of making sure that the buses are serviced on a regular basis so that they don't end up in a situation like what has transpired with JUTC, where the buses are just not serviced on time and they end up having a lot of downtime, etc. But so that, as I said, all of that is going to be worked out within now and when the buses arrive. But I want to focus on a very important point. First of all, I want to indicate that this does not solve the problem, because there's still a need for the kids to get out from the districts down to the buses.
Yes.
So there has to
and that can be a considerable distance sometimes.
And expense.
Absolutely. So I'm going to give you an example. So the bottom line is that this now, the public transport operators who would operate in these districts now will still have the benefit of being able to transport these kids, but for a shorter distance. And I want to make the point very clearly that we are not competing against the public transport operators.
So you're not pushing them out?
No, this government and this minister has a responsibility to protect these youngsters. And we know that because their fares are less than the adults, what they have to go through on a daily basis to get to school and get back to school, from school, yes? Because of the fact that they are at a distinct disadvantage by virtue of fear, is unacceptable. The overtures that are made to these young school people in terms of what they have to do if they want a ride to school and they want to get to school on time, etc., etc. I'm from a rural constituency, so I know it inside out. Those indignities cannot continue. Okay? So I have no apology on behalf of the government and the people of Jamaica and the parents in all these rural constituencies to provide a safe, reliable, respectable system for them.
All right. So
however, let me just finish.
Yeah.
However, the bottom line is that I am not competing against them. I intend to work with them, and as I said before, with what I'm doing now, it may be able to allow me to implement easier, less costly, what I want to do in terms of getting them from the districts to the major corridors and thoroughfares. However, I have a second phase, and if the government is re-elected and I retain transport, I will be sourcing the smaller buses, because these are 42 seats and they have 28 seats, which is half of the size of these big yellow buses that you saw on the screen. And I will be bringing 100 more of those buses to put them into the districts to bring them down to meet the larger bus to go on the major corridors. However, there will be a space for public operators within those districts to be able to do the same, earning the fare that they would earn for the adults that they take, because the government obviously would have to subsidize.
Got you.
Because we will never have it. We will never have enough buses to bring them on a timely basis from where they are based on the distances.
Right. And
my wife used to walk 3 miles to get a bus up at Bull Savannah from Duff House. And if she missed that bus, and that was a bus taking her to Hampton, it was a private bus. If she missed that bus, she don't go to school for that day, because the bus was only passing one time.
Another concern is the security, and I know you initially faced some questions online when you procured the first bus for East and West Portland about the location of the door. Obviously, these are American buses, the service the American routes.
We have retrofitted the door on the one that I have, which is going to go hit the road next week. And I'm satisfied. It has been put on the other side. There is an emergency door at the back. So the fact of the matter is that they will be loading. They will be loading from the sidewalk.
Yes.
And they also will have an emergency exit, which is a standard feature on the design of these specially designed buses. But the fact of the matter is, this is something that should have happened many decades ago.
Here, your minister, running out of time, and I have another question for you. Hear you on how long it should have happened. There's a reality. There's a reality that some of the youngsters like the so-called hype buses. So, in terms of the public education to sensitize people that these buses are now available and they can take them, what will that look like?
That will go through the schools. That will also go through a national campaign, public education campaign. But the parents have a responsibility. The government cannot do everything. Government is not at the house. I'm not at the house with them in the day and in the night. So the bottom line is that there has to be a collaboration with the parents. And I'm sure, especially the rural parents, they want to see their children go to school, get a good education, get a good job, and help the siblings and the cousins that they leave behind that are coming up, to take them out of poverty and put them into a responsible life of being able to earn an honest living. So yes, there are challenges, but I can say without fear of contradiction that I said it in May, and we are now almost in May 25, 2 years, and I'm going to deliver on the buses, the JUTC buses. The 100 of them will arrive here in June, and I'm going to deliver on this commitment from 60 for September. I would say between 50 and 60. I've already identified 25 that are ready, and the rest are coming in. So it's just a matter of the schedule of when they come in for us to take them and get them retrofitted and get them to Jamaica and get them on the road. But we will work out the logistics and have everything in place. And I'm giving a commitment. And I don't give commitments unless they're going to happen. We are going to implement once and for all, on a phased basis, a reliable, safe, decent, efficient rural school bus system for these kids who are going to be the future of Jamaica.
I recall when I was younger, there was a school bus system. The adults started to take it. How do you prevent that from happening in this?
These are dedicated. They will be branded, and they will be strictly monitored. Any of these buses that are seen outside of the hours of the peak hour morning, which I think is 5:30 to 8:30, and 2:30 to 8 o'clock, and they are parked at the schools during that period, that they are not being used, and they are strictly for the use of school children. So the police will have to help me with that, and the schools will have to help me with that, and the responsible parents will have to help me with that. But as you say, let's not talk about the history of why we didn't have it before. All I can say is that this will be my legacy, as you know, because I won't be around serving for much longer.
Well, the plans sound sound positive.
Before I leave,
yes, Minister.
This will be done.
The plans sound positive, Minister, and as someone from a rural community, I'm from Linstead, who had to struggle for quite a while battering along. It sounds positive, but we look forward to the different strategies and the plans that you're going to put in to ensure that it's successful.
And I will outline them to you as they unfold.
Definitely.
As I said to you, this is something that, I have, time is against me, but we're going to do it properly, and we're going to make sure that's a collaborative effort to solve this problem. And as I said, to the taxi operators and the route taxis, the government is not competing against you. The bottom line is that these kids cannot, with the current system, get a fair chance to get to school in the morning because they are at a distinct disadvantage because of the fare differential. And I have to make sure that while they take the adults and earn the money, that there's something in place for the kids to go to school. And I make no apology for it.
We'll have to have you back to discuss the matter of the fitness, but we're out of time. A lot is happening in transport.
We can do that next week because, as a matter of fact, I had a meeting today on that. So I would think by early next week, I just need to have another meeting with TAJ and, of course, eGov to just give a final document to the Prime Minister, and then we sign off and then we announce it. But it has to be done properly so that there's no problems when people start to go and make the changes in terms of the new
the 5-year fitness.
Yeah.
Yes, Minister.
You may have to borrow the moniker from the MP for East Portland, who says she's Action Ann. You may have to start calling yourself Action Dar, but you have to ask her permission first.
She took over that from me.
I see.
Daring Daryl. Daring Daryl, maybe.
Watch her and support her.
All right.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you.
All right.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, man. The headlines are next.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is...
A minute after 6.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Nationwide News understands that 2 men are dead after being injured by a fallen tree in Portland on Friday afternoon. The men have been identified as 63-year-old Dennis Earl Smith of Orange Bay and 39-year-old Nathaniel Gordon of Skibo District. Reports are that Mr. Smith was in the process of cutting down the tree when it fell on both men. Both men were taken to the hospital where they were pronounced dead. President of the Jamaica Employers Federation, Wayne Chen, has hailed Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness's budget debate presentation on Thursday as one of his most prudent.
It's a very responsible budget because the temptation has always been, and we can't take it out of the context that this is an election year. You have an election coming in a few weeks or months. It has been very prudent. No run with it, no excessive spending, nothing that we're going to have to figure out. Let's spend now and figure it out after an election. Very little evidence of that, if any.
Mr. Chen says the budget demonstrates that the Prime Minister has heard the complaints of the Jamaican people and is responding.
That when you look at the goodies that the Prime Minister announced yesterday, and he has to, you have many constituencies listening in on the budget. You want the aspiring homeowner who is frustrated by a young couple and they see the price of housing moving and they're thinking, when will we ever own a home, the car, the Jamaican dream? You see the tweaks to the National Housing Trust, which doesn't affect the consolidated fund. It doesn't affect the central budget. But the tweaks are there because that cry is heard and it is addressed. Another big one, and you can't take it again out of context. The signal that we hear you, the bureaucracy is too heavy. The day-to-day annoyances, they having to go every year to renew your vehicle fitness, to pay the licensing, the long lines in the collectorates.
Wayne Chen, president of the Jamaica Employers Federation. Meanwhile, public commentator and businessman Kevin O'Brien Chang says it's hard to identify an area of the country's welfare that was not addressed by the Prime Minister in his budget presentation.
The word we always hear with Andrew Holness budget, people always use this word, comprehensive. As I say, if there's a football team, it's not just 3 strikers up there trying to score goals. The whole team was involved. from the goalies, defenders, everybody. I don't think there's one area of Jamaica's welfare you could say was not addressed. And if as a voter listening, you think that my life is going to get better in some way. The quality of life, which is what all elections are about, which is what governance is about. I elected somebody to make my quality of life better, or my family, right? And in some way, it's going to get better. There's more efficiency. There is the children's school bus. There is agriculture with the irrigation. So you see a budget which is going to make the country better off and individuals better off.
That's Kevin O'Brien Chang, public commentator and businessman. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says the $1 billion Solidarity Program is to assist those citizens who are not benefiting from other government initiatives.
We recognize that many of our citizens are in need but do not benefit from any existing government program. To address this, we are introducing the $1 billion Solidarity Program. And in its first iteration, we will be providing a one-time cash grant of $20,000 to 50,000 vulnerable individuals who are not enrolled in PATH, social pension, NIS, or the reverse income tax credit.
And Dr. Holness says the government will invest $200 million in the Hope for Children Trust Fund.
Madam Speaker, any Jamaican child born on or after the 60th anniversary of independence, that's August 6, 2022, who is part of a PATH household or a ward of the state will be eligible to register under the program. We are making progress with determining the legal structure of the fund and examining options for how the fund will be managed and administered. And I'm pleased to report that during the upcoming financial year, the government will seed the fund with 200 million Jamaican dollars. And again, I put out the call to the private sector, start looking at making contributions to this fund. We welcome it.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness, he was making his contribution to the budget debate in the House of Representatives on Thursday. The opposition PNP has welcomed the Supreme Court's decision to grant an interim injunction blocking the government's move to declare Portmore Jamaica's 15th parish. Chief Justice Brian Sykes granted the injunction on Thursday. The injunction will remain in force until the parties return to court on March 28. Member of Parliament for South St. Catherine, Fitzjackson, says the move protects the will of the residents.
This action by the court is an important step in upholding the Constitution and protecting the democratic will of the people of Portmore. The government's unilateral effort to impose parish status without proper consultation or consent from residents is undemocratic and blatant gerrymandering. The People's National Party fully supports the residents and stakeholders of Portmore in their plight for inclusion in matters that concern them and is willing to take all legal steps to ensure that their voices are heard.
Fitzjackson, Member of Parliament for South St. Catherine. Mr. Jackson and Mayor of Portmore, Leon Thomas, are named as claimants in the lawsuit. The Attorney General, Dr. Derek McCoy, and Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie are the respondents. Former West St. Mary Member of Parliament, the PNP's Jolyan Silvera, is set to make another attempt for bail in the Court of Appeal on Tuesday, March 25. That's according to a court schedule which was released earlier this week. It says the hearing is scheduled for 2:30 p.m. before Justice Nicole Foster Pusey. The bail application will be heard in chambers. This is Silvera's second push for bail. He was denied bail in May 2024 by the Supreme Court. The 52-year-old is charged with the murder of his wife, Melissa Silvera. He's also charged with using a firearm to commit a felony. Those are the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Sports is next.
Revamp your space with Unique Living sleek fixed and sliding shower panels, shower systems and faucets, stylish vanities, LED and non-LED mirrors, basins and kitchen sinks, closet and storage solutions, hanging aids, and more. Available in different finishes and sizes to match your style. Transform your space and visit us today at shop number 6, 30 Dunrobin Avenue, Kingston 10. Call us at 876-755-3661 or visit our website at uniquelivingja.com to shop.
Attention motorists, it's time to switch to the T-Tag on Trans-Jam highways. Our automated T-Tag lanes reduce the cost of managing cash at our toll plazas, and drivers of Class 1 and 2 vehicles who use the T-Tag pay a lower toll fare than those who use the manually operated toll booths. They also get their 10th trip through any toll plaza free. The T-Tag makes it quicker, more cost-efficient, and safer for our customers. So switch to the T-Tag today and experience the convenience. T-Tag packages are discounted to only $1,500, including a $500 toll credit from now until March 31st.
Exciting news! The Design Studio on Nationwide 90 FM just got a whole lot bigger. Join us this and every Saturday now from 1 to 3 p.m. for an exclusive show that elevates your home, mind, and soul. Discover the latest interior design trends to create your dream sanctuary. Unlock your true potential with personal growth strategies. Nourish your body and spirit with expert wellness tips. Don't miss out on the inspiration you need to live your best life. Tune in to the Design Studio this and every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. and take the first step towards a more fulfilling you.
Make me sweat, make me harder.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Well, Jamaica and St. Vincent and the Grenadines are 0-0 after 10 minutes in the game, and this is the CONCACAF Gold Cup first leg qualifier over there at Arnesville in St. Vincent. The teams are battling over 2 legs. The second leg will take place on Tuesday next week at Sabina Park at 7 o'clock, and the winners on aggregate over the 2 legs will take one of the 7 available spots for the Gold Cup. And yeah, it's, as I said before, it's goalless at the moment between the 2 teams at Arnesville. And if I could just quickly drag up the starting lineup here for the Jamaican team, it is Andre Blake, Dexter Lempekise, there's Amari Bell, Richard King, Ethan Pinnock, Leon Bailey, there's Shamar Nicholson, Demarai Gray, there's Bobby Reed, there's Isaac Hayden, and Sule Makala. So that's the lineup for the Jamaica team, the starting lineup for Jamaica in this game against the St. Vincent and the Grenadines team. And the game been officiated by Monique Andre. And Monique Andre is from Haiti. And yeah, so let me run that starting lineup again for you for the Jamaica team. It's Captain Andre Blake in goal, Dexter Lembekisa, Amari Bell, Ethan Pinnock, Richard King from Cavalier, Leon Bailey, Bobby Reed, Shamar Nicholson, Demarai Gray, Isaac Hayden, and Sule Makala, the starting lineup for the Jamaica team. Defending champions Fraser's Whip will play away to Springers United when action resumes in the Jamaica Women's Premier League at Granville Community Centre on Saturday. Meanwhile, Federal United will host Wi-Fi United at the Prison Oval Field. UWI will welcome Arnett Gardens at the UWI Bowl. Proven Girls are at home to Cavalier at York Sports Complex, and Los Perfectas will tussle with Real Mobe at Mile Gully Community Centre. Club Lyon has been removed from this summer's Club World Cup by FIFA after failing to meet tournament regulations on multi-club ownership. The Mexican side had been scheduled to face Chelsea in their opening fixture of the 32-team competition, which takes place between June 14 and July 13 in the USA. However, the world governing body determined that they and another club from Mexico, Pachuca, did not comply with rules that do not allow clubs to directly or indirectly hold or deal in the securities of shares of another participating team in the competition. Both clubs are owned by Grupo Pachuca, and FIFA said in a statement that a replacement for Lyon will be announced in due course. Lyon disagreed with FIFA's decision and said they would be appealing to the sport's highest court if they were denied a place in the event. Ray & Nephew, title sponsors of the Jamaica Premier League JPL, is pleased with the growing impact the league is having on the national football program. 10 players have been called up from the JPL to join the latest squad selected by head coach Steve McLaren for the game now on the way against the St. Vincent and the Grenadines team. Ray & Nephew believes that the improvement in the quality of locally based players is a testimony to the hard work being put in by all involved to elevate the standard of the local game. The Gold Cup is the premier competition for teams in the region. Having bagged a solitary bronze on the first day, Jamaican athletes will go hunting for more medals on Day 2 of the World Athletics Indoor Championships in Nanjing, China. Day 2 gets going for Jamaica at 9:25 tonight, with Demario Prince and Jerome Campbell going in the first round of the men's 60 meters hurdles. Then at 10:22 tonight, Jodine Williams and Natasha Morrison will enter the women's 60 meters first round. UTEC student Raymond Richards is scaled 2 meters 28 in the men's triple jump for the country's lone medal so far at the championship. The other Jamaican in the event, that's in the men's high jump, was the Olympic finalist Romain Beckford, and he was ninth, his best jump 2 meters 14. Two other Jamaicans contested finals today. Jordan Scott just missed the podium after finishing fourth in the men's triple jump final. He did 17 meters 10, while Rohan Watson placed fifth in the men's 60 meters final in 6.59 seconds. National outdoor record holder Rashid McDonald, after qualifying for the men's 400 meters semifinals as one of the fastest losers with a third place 46.72 seconds performance, while he failed to make it to the final with a fifth place finish in the semifinal in 47.22. None of the two Jamaican ladies in the 400 meters made it past the first round. Joanne Reid did not start. She was scheduled to run in Heat 1, while Leah Anderson was fourth in Heat 2 in 52.86 seconds. Former Edwin High School standout Serena Cole and world 100 meters hurdles record holder Tubi Amusan are amongst the big names registered to participate at Velocity Fest 16 at Ashenheim Stadium, Jamaica College on Saturday. Cole and Amusan will clash in the Heat 3 of the women's 100 meters. The men's race will feature Keishon Thomas and Akeem Blake. Meanwhile, the men's discus will feature Chad Wright and Frederick Dakers. Defending champions Kingston Cricket Club and the JDF will meet in a repeat of last season's final when the two clash at Up Park Camp tomorrow in the second round of the JCA Michael Holding Senior Cup. Both teams opened their campaign with victories last weekend, and Melbourne will be hoping for their second win of the tournament when they host UWI. Melbourne, they beat Kingston and St. Andrews CA by an innings and 78 runs in their first game of the season. 10 other games will be contested at the weekend. O'Shea Hay and Jody Munn-Barrow copped the top spots at the recent Constant Spring Golf Classic, which was held at the Constant Spring Golf Course. Hay competing in the World Amateur Golf Ranking WGA section, where the golfers competed 3 rounds of 54 holes in 2 days. The golfers who compete in that section stand to gain WAGR points, which allow them to play in tournaments across the region and indeed the world. Hay was the only golfer to post an under par score, which he did in the third round. He posted 2 under par 68 and 5 over par 75 each in of the 2 first rounds for the total score of 8 over par 218. His scorecard showed 1 birdie each in the first 2 rounds, but had a very good third round, which included 4 birdies and bogeys. He was then 3 under par after 14 holes, but bogeyed the next hole to close the round at 2 under par 68. William Nabotts, who had not played in the local tournament for a couple of years, was just 1 stroke behind Hay in second place after ending the Classic on a total 219. Munn-Barrow, president of the Jamaica Golf Association and perennial winner of the local golf tournaments, was again in the winner's circle in the 0 to 12 section. She scored 8 over par 78 and 3 over par 73 for a total score of 13 over par 153 and carried the banner for the ladies. National coach Kefia Rapley is expressing confidence that Jamaica's swimmers will improve on the 45 medals they won at the Carifta Games in 2024. This year's edition is set for Trinidad and Tobago, April 19 to 22.
Last year we got 45 medals. We got 18 gold, 12 silver, and 15 bronze, I think. And I definitely believe that we can top that medal count. And I want to say significantly, but I do believe that we can top that medal count at the very least. Also, the team that went last year, most of those members are on this team, so I see where we're going to gel more, where the initial getting to know each other, we've gotten that out of the way, so I see where we're going to bond as a team even more.
Rapley is excited to have a relay team for both male and female in the age group categories.
I am literally just saying hallelujah. I am very excited about this. I don't remember this happening for a long time, so it's very exciting that we're able to fill the age groups. It shows how far we've come in swimming
since 2019
in general and our improvement, right? We went last year with 3 11-12 boys.
All right, that's Coach Kafia Rapley. And finally, in sports at this time, we're just going to close out with a bit of football because the General Secretary of the Jamaica Football Federation, Dennis Chung, says the federation's removal from restricted funding mean they'll be able to access bigger installment than in the past. The restricted funding that was imposed by FIFA on the JFF since 2020 was lifted earlier this week. And Chung says this shows that FIFA is satisfied the JFF is in a position to properly manage the additional funding.
We basically get the same amount, I understand, and it means that we get it in greater lump sums than what we get now. So we get it sort of spread out over the year, so we'll be able to access it sooner, because what it shows is that we have the ability now to manage it, and that is why it would have been put on the installment funds rather than a greater lump sum being sent to us.
And Chung says it also gives the Federation access to project funds as part of the FIFA Forward program.
I was on a call with someone from FIFA Caribbean, and we were discussing the need for us to have a meeting next week to actually look at some of those things that we can access and what the difference is to us, and actually look at some development projects now that our focus has shifted from one where we've been working to get off of restricted funding and satisfy FIFA and show to them that we can actually practice proper financial governance here.
JFF General Secretary Dennis Chung. That's sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:20.
Visit Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore, for all your prescription needs, gifts, personal care, household, and stationery items. The temperature by Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore is
31 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. It's 27 in the western city, Montego Bay.
And everybody with me, yeah. Why eat other snacks when sunshine has the best for you? Nature's best buns are crunchy. The flavor that sings to you. Salted banana and plantain. Taste the freshness, naturally sweet. The flavor that sings to you.
Ayo, nature's best bunch. Enough power tool, big to small. Jackama figure dig the wall. Upper Total Tools. We back a figure trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand. Total Tools. We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When I say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option.
Total Tools, located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slive Road, Kingston.
And lot C6 Jacksaw, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
You can have it all. Company events, birthday parties, or the wedding of your dreams. It's all possible at Grand Palladium Hotels and Resorts. We have magnificent event rooms and a dedicated team that will make your event the best experience that only Grand Palladium Hotels and Resorts can offer. Contact us at 876-619-0000 or call your favorite travel agency and ask about our promotion designed especially for you.
My Mega Mart, best value by far.
With so much to do in one location, make Mega Mart your one-stop shop. Pick up your groceries and houseware needs, grab a bite and pay some bills, fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy, all in one amazing location. My Mega Mart, the best value by far.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening. Hello, all. It's time for Public Opinion. Third time you're seeing me tonight. I'm Mahiri Stewart. And special good evening to our YouTubers. Feel free to take part in today's Public Opinion by using the good old YouTube chat that I need to pull up so I can read what you guys are telling me for today, because today we're talking about yesterday's presentation, a lengthy one, by one Prime Minister, and that Prime Minister is Dr. Andrew Holness, the Prime Minister of Jamaica. And during that presentation, many announcements were made, some of which were, 1, a further adjustment to the minimum wage from $15,000 to $16,000. He also announced that the National Housing Trust, NHT, will increase the loan limit for a single contributor from $7.5 million to $9 million effective July 1. The Prime Minister also announced the Jamaica Rural School Bus System that was set to be implemented in September. 12 buses are going to be added to the JUTC's fleet in Montego Bay as part of the project's first phase. Sorry about that, folks. So anyways, today's question is, what's your reaction to the budget debate? Very long one. Hope you guys were paying as much attention as we here at the newsroom were in order to bring you the news. But now that we've been a day removed from it, let's see what the public thinks about the presentation by Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. We're going to start off with X. And when we go over to X and we scroll down, how many comments are we going to see? We're going to see quite a few. So let's take a look at them, shall we? Right, so the first comment comes from President, and President says, credible, sensible presentation with figures attached. Queens123 again says, fire emoji. Lorraine Young says it was an excellent presentation. John Bullock says, well thought out and on point. Rocky Allen says, great. Bitcoin Educator Jamaica says, weak and anti-growth, needs to swap Jamdex for Bitcoin. Everett Green says, the most telling thing about the PM's budget presentation is that it's clearly revealed that we have a government and an acting opposition, and they clearly do not have acting skills. So let's go over to Instagram. And when we go over to Instagram, give me a second, there we go. When we go over to Instagram, we are going to see how many comments? That's a good amount. We got 69 of them. I don't think we're going to be able to go through all, but let's see what we have. Neron12 says nothing. Will be voting for the first time, and he'll be voting for the PNP. Evercool Cardo says, as a young person, it didn't change the needle for me. I don't care what happened 20 years ago. I haven't seen any improvement for the masses since Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Rosemary C. King says it was a history lesson, not a budget speech. Chris Duncan 758 says great history lesson. Blessed 876 says world's best prosperity builder. Third term loading, active and strong. We keep going. Danger Was says best I ever heard. Congress beat killers responded with trash emojis. Yeah. Silent Music says it's a good budget debate. However, the populace isn't voting for policies. They are voting on emotions and popularity, which is where the battle is won. Fam Michael says, it was a great budget presentation. Love the history lesson, the comparison between the two parties and achievements of the current administration. Dwight Venn says, credible and touched a wide cross-section of areas. Magnificent Mitch says, I will be... What is this? Can I even read this? Is this readable? All right. Simone Anderson Simpson says, it was a good presentation. There was no mention of handouts, so many persons will say it wasn't a good presentation. Crime is down, numbers don't lie, but others will say otherwise but all in all, it was good. Unorthodox 764 says, it was as expected. Very interesting, insightful, credible, and informative. Let me try and load up the live chat. on YouTube before we get out of here. Robert Gregory Lewars says, Prime Minister Holness is a visionary that cares for the Jamaican people. God Alone One Done says it was good and humorous. Yard Main says very detailed and explanatory. Nation Builder 91 says disgraceful. Move on now. One Leprodon says it was that. How is this? Can I read this? Is this readable? Will I get defamed? I might, let me keep moving then. All right, folks. Top Girl Spy says very honest and open budget. Best budget in history. And Portland Goats says very balanced and practical. If we go over to Facebook, how many will we be able to read before we skedaddle? We asked the folks over at Facebook to tell us what their reaction to the Prime Minister's budget presentation was. And when we asked them, we received how many comments? I'm seeing a grand total of 126. We can't go through all of them, but let's go, man. Cheryl Griffith says, to have his opponent hanging in head for 5 hours says it all. To have his opponent hanging his head for 5 hours says it all, says Cheryl Griffiths. Michelle Bernard says, well-balanced, great presentation. There is something good in it for every Jamaican. What else we have here? Kurt Powell says it was very detailed and shows a clear plan and vision for the country. Alonzo Johnson says, I was washing and hearing the presentation, I had my laughter, but on a serious note, by hearing the Jamaican Prime Minister, I can say that there are visions and insights for all Jamaicans. Philip Jackson says, comprehensive and deliberate. Horace Walker says, one-of-a-kind budget. He touches almost every area. Salome Paul says it was a lengthy one because it was necessary to give a history lesson to those who don't know the genesis of financial woes. Carleen Lyle Edwards says this presentation by the Prime Minister was well balanced. Everyone can have a piece of the pie. What else do we have here? Errol Thomas says it was a true business venture, not a Ponzi scheme. Sansi Senaj says, excellent in detail and substance. It's a clear indication of where he wants the country to go. But what says the YouTubers? How many of these can I read? Are you guys on your best behavior tonight? Let's find out. Philip Jackson says, the budget have goodness written all over it. Maureen McKenzie says, clear plan and visionary. What else we got here? How many of these can I read? Blessy Bless says, best budget. Best budget says Blessy Blessed. Morris McCarthy says best presentation I've heard. All right. What else do we have here? I already read the Marine one. PB says excellent one. One of the best in a long while. Daniel Richards says it was good. It's just like when you lick some six like West Indies. Willow. Oh no, that's not a comment. That's not a response to Pub Up. Rather, let me see which. Okay, here we go. Atta Claps JA says the PM's budget was on point. Nearly 12 Rob says it was the best they've ever seen. Big Steve Cooking Show says it was also the best. Sharon McLaren says this is a well thought out budget. Mona Smith says I listened from start to finish, comprehensive, well thought out, man with a plan and vision. David Nambar says excellent. Donovan Combry says, brilliant from Prime Minister. Jamaica, please work with him. What else do we have here? Leonard Seville says, excellent budget presentation with lots of good ideas. Patrick Samuels says, excellent budget, 10 out of 10. And Angie on the go says, good budget. Went through a lot of comments today, most of them pretty good, but a couple folks saying, yeah, man, it wasn't really all that great. But yeah, man, that's public opinion for you. You're going to hear all kinds of different answers on this show. But thank you all, as always, for participating. But now it's time for the business report.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is...
It is 6:32. Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Business Report here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Mahiri Stewart. President Donald Trump has awarded Boeing a multi-billion-dollar contract to build the U.S. Air Force's most advanced fighter jet, the Next Generation Air Dominance aircraft. Trump described the high-speed stealth aircraft, dubbed the F-47, as the most lethal aircraft ever built, and said a version has been secretly flying for the last 5 years. The exact value of the contract remains undisclosed, but it is a boost for Boeing, which has struggled with sluggish commercial and military sales as well as high-profile safety issues. An artistic rendering alongside Trump in the Oval Office of the White House only showed a small part of the aircraft and front landing gear. The president also mentioned that the U.S. military had selected the number 47, which he described as a beautiful number, for the aircraft. He is the 45th and 47th president of the United States. Some flights have resumed at Heathrow Airport in London on Friday, following a power outage caused by a fire at an electrical substation. The outage forced Europe's busiest hub to shut down roughly 18 hours. The fire caused widespread cancellations, stranding roughly 200,000 passengers. That blaze started just before midnight on Thursday at a substation 2 miles from the airport. The London Fire Brigade said its investigation would focus on the electrical distribution equipment at the substation. And finally, in the currency markets, it cost 157 Jamaican dollars and 55 cents to buy $1. It costs 205 Jamaican dollars and 95 cents to buy £1 British pound, and it costs 109 Jamaican dollars and 82 cents to buy $1 Canadian dollar. That's the Business Report. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Stay tuned for the nation's business.
The NWC's bill-free promotion is here. Be one of 350 persons to get $20,000 water credit when you pay your bill in full every month until March 31, 2025. And there's more. Oh yes, you can win $300,000, $200,000, or $100,000 cash in the NWC's bill-free promotion if you register for e-bill and pay your bill in full every month until March 31. Conditions apply. Visit nwcjamaica.com for details. Authorized under Section 58(3) of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act, a part of the NWC's bucket full of goodies.
The National Land Agency assists landowners to register their land under the Systematic Land Registration Program. Systematic Land Registration is the orderly and methodical way of registering land within a designated project area. For more info on whether your community is covered under the Systematic Land Registration Program, visit nla.gov.jm for a list of all the declared project areas or call 876-750-5263. The National Land Agency. One agency, one goal. To serve you better.
For generations, Jamaican families have trusted Imperial Optical to keep their vision clear and their style sharp. From their first eye exam to the latest in fashion frames, we've been there for every milestone, every moment, and every memory. Whether it's your child's first day at school or your grandparents' golden years, our care spans every age, every stage. Visit Imperial Optical today. Generations of care, generations of trust.
Enough power tool, big to small. Chakama figure dig the wall. Upper Total Tools. Beat waka figure trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand. Total Tools. We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When you say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option. Total Tools located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slipe Road, Kingston. And lot C6 Jacksaw, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
None of mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all the schoolers who are taking beats.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team, Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
It's the weekend and the youth are taking over the airwaves. Yes, we are the new voices and faces of the Talk Up You radio show. The voice of the Jamaican youth right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
After a busy week of work and school, come and wine with Jamaica's #1 youth radio show.
We're bringing you entertainment, fun facts, and staying true to youth development and advocacy.
Catch the action each and every Saturday as we roll out buzzy segments. What say you?
Youth for chat.
Life skills.
Global Connect.
And Bust the Youth. That's the Talk Up Youth radio show. Saturdays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM. Talk Up Youth, Miss Effie.
Talk Up Youth. Don't miss it.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
That we should be together.
The true beauty of music is that it connects people. It carries a message. It speaks to you. It changes you. And that's exactly what we do just for you every Sunday as we take you to Urban Paradise, 9:10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Urban Paradise is our weekly musical journey that will serve up 110 glorious minutes of positive storytelling through music, mixed in with inspirational features to provoke thought and to heal the soul.
Like a dream come true, just wanna be with you.
So join me, Diane Ashton Smith, this and every Sunday, 9:10 a.m. to 11 a.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media. Urban Paradise, opening our hearts, connecting to others.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton. Weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. It's time for the nation's business. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Donna Hope.
And we're turning our attention now. We're still getting some reactions, actually, to the budget presentations. We're going to have an assessment of the debate so far. We've had 4 contributions to the 2025-26 debate in the House of Representatives. The Finance Minister, Favour Williams, opened the debate last week, Tuesday. She was followed by the Shadow Minister of Finance, Julian Robinson, and then the Opposition Leader, Mark Golding, spoke last Thursday, or rather on Tuesday.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness made his presentation yesterday, Thursday. Multiple plans and proposals were made across the 4 presentations.
So, what were the highlights and how will the budget impact people? For that discussion, we're being joined by immediate past president of the Medium, Small and Micro Enterprise MSME Alliance, Donovan Wignall. We also have with us public commentator and founder of the Jamaican Association for Debating and Empowerment, Jade Limited, Jermaine Barrett. Gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening to you both. Good evening to your listeners.
Good evening, Dr. Wolf. Good evening, Jeremy.
Good evening. Hey, how are you doing?
I'm becoming a fast fan.
Oh.
All right.
right, so Donovan, let me start with you. What's your assessment of all you've heard across all of the speakers so far?
Well, Ricardo, it was long. It was very long. And 5 hours, and I listened for most of it. But my attention span waned in probably the last hour or so, where most of the goodies were handed out. But within the context of debating, I think he hit all the, if you were to rate him, as against all the other, the 3 other persons who presented, he did very well. He had the primacy of place where he got a chance to hear what everybody had, had it on their cards, and he responded aptly. I think my major takeaway from the budget was the policy. The most positive thing was the policy, and for housing, I think low-income housing has been ignored for a very long time. And both the opposition leader and the Prime Minister attempted to address those pain points significantly in their presentation. I didn't care much for the history of, the macroeconomics and all of that. I mean, it has been overplayed and overstated for the past couple of months leading up to this. So, I mean, important to some people. But, me sitting on EPOC, for the entire life of EPOC, I had some information as to exactly what happened and how it came about and why, and, the whole chronology and the paternity of it. So understanding that fully, that kind of lost interest in the first part of it. But leading down to the rest of the debate, I thought he stood, you realize that he got a little host.
Yes. In
the last part.
Almost losing his voice.
He was losing his voice.
Almost 5 hours,
yes.
Yeah, man. But transportation, water, education, lights, farm road construction, he laid it out quite well. And I think in history this would have been the longest debate. I think probably only Mike Manley would have probably done a little bit more than him. But generally, it was well thought out, well planned, and he would have gotten good within the context of debate. He would have gotten good marks from it. But one problem I'm having, and I don't know if anybody has this problem, anybody else, it is unnerving to me to hear all the announcements being made in the penultimate year of his administration. There are a couple of things that was laid out in the speech that were ongoing projects that would have started, but the great majority of it would have been announcement in the penultimate year now. And it is clear that a lot of it was electioneering, $20,000, the increase in the minimum wage.
But is that such a bad thing, Donovan, in the context of a government that's seeking a third term in office? Let me take that answer after the break.
We have to go for the break and come back, yes.
This time signal is sponsored by Janet Global Accreditation, an agency of the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce. The time is now
6:46. Back with you, Donovan Wignall, Jermaine Barrett. Donovan, you were saying you're a little bit put off that most of the announcements are coming in the election year. Seems like electioneering, and I'm wondering, is that such a bad thing?
No, not a bad thing, but for me, it would have been even more solid. And if could said, for most of the projects, especially housing, that this is happening. We have been doing this, and this is what we are going to do in continuation of what we are doing. We are, it should not be reactive to the election, but proactive as a policy of the government from jump up till now. And quite a bit of the stuff, I found that they were mostly for the election. And I think both parties had some, most of the time are guilty of this thing where election time you make all these grand announcements, and then when you win the election, those things are put on the back burner and we go back to business as usual, and up to the next election again they are brought back on the table. And that is something I think we need to change.
But that is up to Donovan Bignell and Jermaine Barrett, up to the people of Jamaica and, you know, a lot of the NGOs and watchdog groups to ensure that we keep our politicians to task, because rolling out goodies before an election is a kind of normal procedure in our country. So we have to keep our politicians to task. So what do you think people can do or should do to ensure that whichever party forms the government, that they are taken to task for the promises that they make in budgets like these?
Make a list of them and hold their feet to the fire during the entire administration to see to that they, and you know, so that they keep all the promises and whatever pain points that they would have recognized in the last year of the administration.
Yes.
Those, you know, would have been ongoing projects and more of just an update rather than an announcement.
But how do we hold their feet to the fire, Jermaine Barrett, in a context where we really just participate or largely participate every 4 to 5 years in an election? How do you see us doing that?
Well, I think good evening to you both again. I think a large part of how it is that we hold their feet to the fire is to make demands that the budget presentation, given how long they are, given the fact that they can be as long as these politicians want them to be, that we get vital information, for example, about the cost for these grand ideas, or even the small ones for that matter, that we get timelines, that we get specificities, and I think that I'm hearing certainly within the media and, you know, as I go about the place, people are now converging around the ideas that these ideas sound interesting, but we don't know if they're going to work. It's Ricardo, we live in a country where the levels of political apathy is just intense. People are talking about the budget debates, but when it comes on time for people to go out and vote, they're not doing that to a great enough extent. Why? One of the reasons, because people are just dismayed at the tendencies of politicians over the years to either run amok of things in terms of their economic management, or to break promises. Yes. So it's one thing. I think we're getting the tendency within budget debates over the years for it to be who can posit the greatest laundry list of goodies, or who can jibe the other one even more. And I think the people of Jamaica, many of us, not everybody, is saying, no, we need to know from the point at which you present these plans, what exactly are the cost implications and the timeline. What are the trade-offs that are going to be going on? Because the fact is, Ricardo, we are not going to get a platform as grand as this, with them being able to expound as exhaustively as they need to anytime between now and the election. The second thing I want to talk about in terms of the analysis of what amounts now to be about a 15-hour long debate, that's how long, cumulatively these debates would have consumed, is that a lot of the conversations on the street, people are not necessarily focused on the full raft of ideas and analysis that are coming out, but it's the bite-sized pieces of jibes and information that are being posited. So you hear a lot of talk.
And that's true, Jermaine Barrett. Yes. Because what people have done is cherry pick specific parts of each presentation that either respond to what they think or what they have heard. So I had some students today, I asked all of them in the class, did you watch the budget or listen? None of them did. What did you hear about the budget? A lot of them came up with just the minimum wage increase. That wasn't because it's a talking point on the ground for a lot of reasons.
Precisely. And that's how we are as a people. That's how we are, not just as a people, as human beings. 15 hours worth of content, but we can't hold it in our heads. So we latch on to the things that are sensational and are exciting.
And so I suppose my next question then, Jermaine, is considering that and how we consume information in this modern era, all that you've seen so far, who do you think is winning the messaging war, and I use that word advisedly, in terms of coming out of the budget debates? Because the minister will have to close the debate on Tuesday, but certainly the bulk of it has gone.
I think after that presentation yesterday by the Prime Minister, I think he's by far in the lead. I think that, he was professorial, but not in a boring way. He took Jamaicans to school, the history lesson, the points of comparison between the two administrations, the question about who has paternity for the economic gains that we've had over the years, the kind of sort of positioning where we are relative to where we could have been on crime because of the actions, detrimental as he contends they are, of the PNP with respect to not extending states of emergencies, looking at crime, looking at the wide range of things that he analyzed, I thought was just so very impressive. Albeit long, but it had to be long because we're talking about analyzing the trajectory of the country from independence or even prior to up until now. And then, one of the things that I celebrate at this point is that we have a government that is not reckless. It is desperate. It is reasonable, rather, for either party to be desperate at this time, for them to run with it, yes? But what we've seen is a measured, calibrated approach where it is within the fiscal rules for them to basically run a budget deficit, but they've decided not to run a budget deficit. Do you know how hugely risky that is? Because without them giving these big, grandiose things to the people, the Prime Minister is taking, and his ministers are taking on a huge burden onto themselves to go and persuade the people of Jamaica to say, hey, I'm not giving you a $2 million tax threshold in 1 year, which is what you want, but I am giving you these things, and this is the justification for it. And I like the fact that, just one final point, I like the fact that he took that position knowing that it is a risky position, but it is a demonstration that he's not desperate for power at all costs.
But Donovan Wignall, Jermaine Barrett, listening to the budget from the Prime Minister yesterday, how do you think that some of the key points raised in it will actually affect people, will impact on their lives? Because I think that's what people are more concerned about.
Well, you know what, Dr. Hope, you asked a question a while ago, and it's a question that I've asked my people, my group of young people, my young staff and other people. Did you listen to the budget debate? And a lot of them said no. I said, why weren't you listening? Because some of the discussions we were having about housing, how are you going to buy a house? Down the road, where are you going to get a deposit? You are earning X amount of dollars. You certainly cannot afford the $25, $30, $40 million houses that are being built in Kingston. A lot of things were announced to assist young people are just leaving school, people are the everyday worker, the government worker, how to acquire a home. And a lot of people, they are so steeped in social media and looking at other stuff rather than the affairs of the country. And I think we have a generation now that are disconnected from the everyday happenings and the runnings of the country. I force my kids to listen to the radio in the morning and listen to the news, listen to Nationwide, listen to other stations, and say, this is what is happening in the country. You have to be current, you have to know what's going on.
But you have to force them. The word is force,
yes,
you see?
Yes, they are in the phones. But I think in terms of the messaging, Ricardo asked the question about who you think is winning the messaging. Right? If you look at, and that question can be answered by who do you hear more in the space. And I could say that I'm hearing a lot more of the messaging from the JLP in the space. The PNP is out there too, and they are messaging, but I think I'm hearing a louder voice from the JLP, and hence I think they're reaching a lot more people. So as far as that aspect of the campaigning is concerned, I think the PNP has some work to do.
Yes.
But all in all, I think between the opposition and the government, I think Mark Golding, leader of the opposition, he raised some very good points. And the ideas presented, they are ideas because they're in opposition, so therefore these has to be ideas. There were attempts to show how you're going to pay for a lot of the stuff that he mentioned. And he did give a credible explanation of how he's going to pay for some of the stuff. The government is in power, they are the incumbents, so they have a fairly good idea of what is the fiscal space and how they can accommodate a lot of it. And some of it, of course, like the $20,000 thing that he mentioned again. I think that's, that's kind of run with it, if you ask me.
20,000 for 50,000 people.
It's unsustainable. You can't do it again. And, that's one thing I said, that's pure electioneering right there. But if you look at the entire budget, what he mentioned about farming, irrigation, etc., in support of Floyd Green's ministry, and I think Floyd Green is doing an excellent job as a Minister of Agriculture. And he seems to be getting the support both from the Prime Minister and from the Minister of Finance. So I think there are some good wins, there are some good takeaways. as far as the growth and development of the country is concerned, the capital expenditure on roads, capital expenditure on irrigation, capital expenditure on several aspects of government, reducing red tape, reducing, processing throughput in the tax office, building more tax offices, etc. I think those are some of the fundamental things that we must look for, write them down on a list and ensure that these things are implemented and not just announced in the campaigning session, but ensure that they're implemented, going through whichever party wins the next election.
And Jermaine, I said on Tuesday, and I got much flack for it on social media and abuse, that I thought the opposition leader had laid out a sketch from which a debate could now spring. And then the Prime Minister, of course, yesterday offered his rebuttal.
Yes.
And I wondered, Jeremy, when you look at it that way, and obviously the Jamaican people will be the judge, which of the sides are you thinking, because obviously it's early, because a campaign will have to, a full campaign will have to be run. Which side are you thinking the Jamaican people, in their assessment, would be most persuaded by so far?
Well, I think that in as much as we get more information from the Jamaica Labour Party with respect to how it is that things are to be paid for, the timelines and so forth. Well, not much timelines, but certainly how it is that they're going to be funded. I think that it was a missed opportunity of the opposition leader and his spokesperson on finance with respect to the big ideas that he posited, that he didn't indicate how it is that we're going to be paying for them. What exactly would he not do were he in government, and given the slate of ideas coming from the PNP, the JLP rather, that would essentially save the government some funds so that those funds could be deployed to those key ideas of his. I think that was a major miss on his part, because again, I go back to the point, there's never going to be another opportunity where you have an audience as large as this focusing on the ideas, scrutinizing them between now and the election. Yes, it won't happen in the leadership debate because those are almost bite-sized pieces of responses. And so that is concerning to me. I think I have a more fundamental concern with the budget process. The fact that we don't get the revenue measures prior to the minister's presentation of those measures is concerning. I would want to have the opportunity to really scrutinize those, to go through and to have a broad-based societal conversations about them. Right, and I think that's a concern on the government side, but the concern also extends to the opposition side with respect to the lack of crucial bits of information. But comparatively, I think the edge goes to the Jamaica Labour Party in as much as we're able to see how it is that things are going to be costed.
Yeah. We're out of time, but the Jamaican voters, who will be the ultimate judges and who will say yay or nay, reminding you that March 31 is a deadline to get on the voters list if you indeed want to be an adjudicator of what is shaping up to be a truly great debate. Jermaine Barrett. Yeah, man. Donovan Wignall.
Thank you.
And Donovan, keep ensuring that the youngsters listen to Nationwide. That's a good habit to develop.
expose more young people to the information at all levels. Though.
Donovan Wignall, Jermaine Barrett. Thank you so much for your time as always.
Gentlemen. Thank you.
All right, you take care. All the best.
Thank you.
We take a break. Come back with more.
Jamaica's Spark program is investing $45 billion to improve roads, water, and telecom. Better infrastructure for a better future. The time by Spark is...
It's a minute after 7.
Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, is a financial reporting firm that delivers accounting and compliance services on time. Call us today at 876-908-0486-7. Email us at clientservices@cocnjamaica.com or visit our website at www.cocnjamaica.com. COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
perform outlast. Guilty. With top performance. Guilty. Jackama. Reliable. Full stop. Not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electrician. Fancy select tools, 3 parts and 3 repairs. 3 parts, 3 repairs. 2 to 3 years. Hilton. Available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-61114. Delta Supply. We service what we sell.
I pursue opportunities.
I prepare for opportunities.
I plan for opportunities.
With Sagicor e-Invest, you can prepare, plan for and pursue IPO opportunities. Browse IPOs, review IPO details and prospectuses. Select and apply for a featured IPO. IPO with Sagicor e-Invest. Think wealth. Visit sagicor.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to us on Nationwide at 5. I'm Donna Hope, and my co-host with me here today.
I'm Ricardo Brooks. And remember, it's Hope Fridays, by the way. We're keeping that.
And of course, we're turning our attention now to something that impacts on families, but mainly on women in families. We're talking about menopause, and we're talking about a menopause rebirth workshop that will be happening with almost 50% of Jamaica's female population experiencing this major biological shift. Dr. Charmaine Thomas, one of Jamaica's leading menopause experts, is hosting the Menopause Rebirth Workshop on March 30, 2025.
This is the first workshop of its kind in Jamaica, and it was designed to be an immersive workshop with expert-led discussions and guided exercises. The event is the brainchild of one of Jamaica's foremost menopause experts, Dr. Charmaine Thomas. It was designed to transform how menopause is discussed, understood, and managed.
Dr. Thomas is a certified menopause specialist, a physician, an entrepreneur, and a wellness advocate dedicated to helping women navigate life's transitions with confidence, grace, and vitality. Dr. Thomas joins us now. Welcome, Dr. Thomas.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, Dr.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we're hearing you very well. So,
Wonderful.
Dr. Thomas, welcome to Nationwide at 5. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and tell us, of course, what inspired you to specialize in menopause care?
Sure. So, I am a medical doctor by profession, menopause and aesthetics expert, and founder of Menopause Rebirth. I currently work at Baywest Clinic and also at Beauty by Doctors Med Spa as the aesthetics physician director. Of course, I said I'm a general practitioner. My passion and emphasis is on women's health and wellness. I started my menopause journey at 46. I won't say my age now, but it's some years later. I started my menopause journey, and with that said, my journey wasn't so easy at all. After discovering what I was going through, and I kind of felt a little embarrassed about going through all of that so early, I decided, okay, no, man, I have to be able to find a solution for women, for us to go through it a little bit easier, and for it not to be such a stigma on us as women. So then I started Menopause Rebirth because of the commitment to break the silence around menopause in Jamaica and empowering women with practical solutions of how to get through this.
So, Dr. Thomas, why do you think that menopause is something that a lot of women find difficult to talk about openly, especially here in Jamaica where we are based?
It is difficult because the culture. So our culture is one of women kind of being silenced or silent about the symptoms they're going through. Why would I, as a woman, now talk about me having hot flashes? And a lot of it also with my hair loss. And these are all things I went through. Hot flashes, hair loss, brain fog. And let's not even talk about the sexual dysfunction that some women go through. So it becomes a little embarrassing for a woman to even explain that to her husband about those symptoms that she's having. Now, how can we break that? we break it through education, and that's why I'm here.
So the menopause, Ricardo,
Yeah,
you're about to ask questions.
Yeah,
because
because-
Ricardo has to ask questions. He's going to be in maybe sometime in the future have to deal with that. Yes.
Because my question was going to be,
Yes.
when you talk to women, are they sharing with you that the men in their lives are understanding when they're going through this process?
So the good thing about me being a doctor is, and what I realize is my approach is more organic. I have a holistic approach towards women and, of course, their husbands.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, even in the clinic, when I'm sitting at Baywest in the clinic, a woman come in and just out of the whim, she start discussing with me, Doc, and that's not why she came in the first place, and maybe a cough, cold, runny nose, whatever it is. But then she start talking about having hot flashes. And her husband is sitting there and he's laughing at her. Doc, she just she's so miserable, that kind of thing.
Yes.
It now gives me an opportunity to now have her open up towards me in front of her husband because they both feel safe. So when she does open up and he is now literally hearing her, what she's saying, now it becomes an educational room in which we can actually talk. You know, and then of course they become my patients long term, and I'm able to get, you know, all the information to her and get her treated however way I can, or whichever way I can. Yes.
But
So your question to me is, well, is it hard? It's not hard. For me, it's not hard. But then sometimes you have men that are very stubborn and don't believe in this whole thing. So, you know, that takes a different turn, and, you know. But in general, it's not hard for women to open up and the men being there.
But you're a medical doctor, so you're a professional that they feel safe with. What about women who do not have access to that kind of consultation, those opportunities? What are the suggestions that you have for them? You know, how do they deal with what they are facing, hormonally, physically, emotionally? How do they deal with that?
So if they don't hear about it and through different media, they will not have any idea how to deal with it. You know, my mother, and I don't know if she would mind me just saying that she never went through anything. And I realized the older generation, either they went through it and they did not say anything about it, or they did not go through anything at all, or maybe they did, but the way they were able to deal with it through bush medicine. You know what I mean? So all of those kind of things come into play. So if there is no education, there is no awareness, I do not believe a woman is able to understand what she's going through. And then we can now go to the point of a woman being depressed. She doesn't know. She feels alone. She, you know, maybe she don't want her husband to be around her. You know, all of those things come into play. So it is important for awareness to be brought forth so women can understand that there is hope, right? You're not dead. You're not going to die. It's a new life. It's a rebirth. And that is where I come in.
And the things like bush medicine, are those things actually effective?
They can be. It all depends on, you know, I you know what, I have to say that I do believe in some aspects of it. And, you know, if you think about ashwagandha and all of that good stuff,
Yes.
they are being used right now and they are effective in making a, you know, whatever the use of them are for, they are being used and they are effective. So I do believe in some of them for sure.
So, Dr. Thomas, are there medications, before we go to talk to you about your own program coming up, are there medications that women are given by their medical doctors, by their gynecologists, that help them through, you know, some of the challenges that they face during menopause?
Absolutely. And that is where I come in as well. I specialize in bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. I think it's such a wonderful thing. And I can also say organically, I have been on it. I've been taking it, and it's helping me a whole lot. So I usually speak about what I truly believe in, right? And this is one thing that I definitely believe in. Why? Because it's bioidentical to your own hormones. So it's not the effects of it causing cancer to you, as you know, back in the day they used to say you take hormone replacement
HRT,
therapy,
hormone replacement
right?
therapy, yes.
You're going to get cancer.
Uh-huh.
Well, they have been new studies that show no. The way they did the testing was on a small sample, and it was very defective, right? So the bioidentical form of it, right, it's definitely identical to your own hormone. So the chance of you getting cancer from that is pretty slim. And I should also say that it's cardioprotectant. So if it is that a woman comes to me and, going through all the symptoms and everything, I do all the hormonal testing, and I realize that you do need some form of hormone replacement in order to make you feel better about yourself and about what you're going through. I'm going to give it to you through either pellets, through tablets, through patches, whichever way that is effective for you. It's not one size fits all. It's all individual based.
Are there any common misconceptions that you want to clear up when it comes to menopause?
There are so many. I think I did say one that persons actually believe that it's the end of their journey. Their
Journey meaning their life?
Their life. Some persons feel like they're going to die. Some persons go through depression. There are mental breakdowns. It is so many things that a woman goes through in which it should not be a myth. It should be something in which they understand that they can make it through. So once we form a community, once we form an understanding of what it is, then they'll make it through life, the second part of their journey.
So, Dr. Thomas, what is the age range that women tend to go through menopause? Because I gather that there's a range where people, women, different women go into perimenopause and then into full menopause. What's the age range?
Correct. So, starting from 45, the Menopause Society did a study, and it said women from age 45 onwards will start going through their perimenopause, as you said, into menopause and then post-menopause. However, we can't neglect the women who have had different circumstances, such as women who have had surgery, so forth, and now have lost their estrogen because of different reasons. So starting at 45, but then there are the exceptions.
Okay, so once you lose, so for example, a person who does a hysterectomy would also go into early menopause.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. Total hysterectomy.
Yes, a total hysterectomy. I would go into full menopause, and so in a lot of ways, then you are having this menopause rebirth workshop, which sounds very unique here in Jamaica. Yes. What can women expect from this experience? Tell us about it, and what are the plans for this workshop?
All right. So the purpose of the menopause workshop is to provide education, support, and resources for women experiencing menopause, and to foster open discussion about this natural life stage. So the education, of course, is just simply understanding menopause. We provide information about what menopause is, including the physical and emotional changes that occur, the symptomatic management of menopause, which is very important, right? And of course, there's the support and the community. So when a woman comes to the workshop, they're able to build connections with other women, and the discussions will be open, and persons will feel comfortable. Hopefully, the next workshop they'll be able to take their husband. You know what I mean? And practical solutions. So it's like resource sharing. We are opening up wide. What we're doing, we're going to do booklets, books, podcasts. We want to reach out to workplace. So, menopause in the workplace really is a thing as well.
Yes.
Just different avenues to help us get through our journey.
But on social media as well, because social media is a big thing. Yes.
Definitely. We already started with that. And at the end of this, of course, I'll just give you my social media pages and, of course, my website. Of course, there'll be access. My apologies about that. There'll be access to experts And if I can go ahead and just talk about who will be at this workshop.
Do go ahead. Yes.
Okay. So myself, of course, and I'll be talking about the anatomy, physiology, and biochemistry of menopause. We have to go back to the roots of how all of this started, right? And everything within it. Then we'll have Nurse Risha Ruddock. She's from the U.S. She's a nurse practitioner. She'll be talking about the bioidentical hormone replacement therapy and how to get through it, how it works, everything like that. We'll also have Miss Pauline Day. She is a registered dietitian nutritionist. And, of course, she'll be talking about the nutrition aspect and what a woman going through menopause can eat and, to help her get through the symptoms she's going through. Dr. Lorena Muir-Green, she's a dermatologist, and she's going to be talking about hair loss. She's a hair loss specialist, so she's going to be talking about menopause and hair loss. Then we have Miss Natalia Fennell. She's a registered physical therapist, and of course she'll be talking about the pelvic floor exercises, how a woman can use her pelvis to help her get through the whole menopausal symptoms, because, she'll delve into it more, but your pelvic area do get a bit very, very tight. So she'll be demonstrating exercises and just talking about how you can, get through it with the menopause with that. Right?
How do people register? How do women register?
So you can register through the Instagram page, which is dr. Thomas, or Dr. Thomas without the period. And also you can register through the website, which is www.drcharmainethomas.com. Right? So those are the three main avenues to register. You can make your payments through the website or through this link called Carib, and I'm trying to remember it now. Carib something, but it's definitely through the website, which is the main aspect of registering and making your payment there.
Oh, you're on Carib Tix. I'm looking at
Carib
Tix, right? So there's a cost attached to the workshop then. So it's not this. The workshop is costed for the participants who want to share in it. Yes.
Yes. Yes, it is.
And where will it be hosted? Because you're out west in Montego Bay. Where will it be hosted? Remind us.
So it's the Palm Terrace. It's on Leaders Avenue, Top Road. That's the way. It's actually a venue, and entertainment venue, and they have a room in which we're going to be using to host our workshop. Yeah.
All right, so that's the Menopause Rebirth Workshop on March 30, 2025. All right, thank you so much, Dr. Charmaine Thomas.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas, and all the best with the workshop. Hope you'll be coming to Kingston one of these days because, sharing it, Central Jamaica, Kings, the different areas, so that women who are not based in out west and who want to participate, women and men, Ricardo,
for sure,
are able to take part.
For sure.
There is such a thing as andropause.
The men respond differently, though, and andropause. So but again, hopefully that you can pull more from this first workshop so that you can make it available to people across Jamaica, because this is a very challenging time that many women go through, Ricardo. And they need the support.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
And we'll talk again.
All right.
Thank you so much. Of course. Thank you.
Bugs. Andropause is close to andropause.
Don't bother with it.
Pretty close.
You know what andropause is?
From context, I'm assuming it's the male version of menopause.
Yes, but it's a little different, and men behave differently, and the response is usual. Women do have a lot of physical, biological, emotional issues. Men issues.
I can think of one.
Which is what?
Oh God. It's not compulsory, right?
No, it's not. Not
andropause.
Yes, it's compulsory. Everybody goes through something like that. Yes.
Go drink some peanut punch. It's time for your calls. 630. No, it's not time for your calls. Dana says it's not. We're going to take the break and come back with more.
Attention procurement officers looking for office furniture? Call Econo Office and School Supplies. We also offer stationery, office equipment, printing supplies, school supplies, shredder servicing, and custom stamps. Visit us at 40.5B Red Hills Road, Kingston. Call 876-620-8820 or WhatsApp 876-208-2233. Visit our website at econo-oss.com. Econo Office and School Supplies Limited, your one-stop shop for all office and school needs. Let us simplify your life.
Undeniable that we should be together.
The true beauty of music is that it connects people. It carries a message. It speaks to you. It changes you. And that's exactly what we do just for you every Sunday as we take you to Urban Paradise, 9:10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Urban Paradise is our weekly musical journey that will serve up 110 glorious minutes of positive storytelling through music, mixed in with inspirational features to provoke thought and to heal the soul.
Like a dream come true, just wanna be with you.
So join me, Diane Ashton Smith, this and every Sunday, 9:10 a.m. to 11 a.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media. Urban Paradise, opening our hearts, connecting to others.
It's the weekend and the youth are taking over the airwaves. Yes, we are the new voices and faces of the Talk Up You radio show. The voice of the Jamaican youth right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
After a busy week of work and school, come and wine with Jamaica's #1 youth radio show.
We're bringing you entertainment, fun facts, and staying true to youth development and advocacy.
Catch the action each and every Saturday as we roll out buzzy segments. What say you?
Youth for chat.
Life skills.
Global Connect.
And
Bust the Youth.
That's the Talk Up Youth radio show. Saturdays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM. Talk Up Youth, Miss Effie.
Talk Up Youth. Don't miss it.
Exciting news! The Design Studio on Nationwide 90 FM just got a whole lot bigger. Join us this and every Saturday now from 1 to 3 p.m. for an exclusive show that elevates your home, mind, and soul. Discover the latest interior design trends to create your dream sanctuary. Unlock your true potential with personal growth strategies. Nourish your body and spirit with expert wellness tips. Don't miss out on the inspiration you need to live your best life. Tune in to the Design Studio this and every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. and take the first step towards a more fulfilling you.
Make me sweat, make me harder.
24 minutes after 7, we're turning our attention now to the JTA Go Public Fund Education Forum 2025. The Jamaica Teachers Association is collaborating with Education International, EI, and the Caribbean Union of Teachers, CUT, to highlight the trend of teacher migration from the Caribbean. They want to focus on ways in which the governments of the region will have to focus their attention on funding education to retain educators.
According to the Education Ministry, 854 teachers resigned between January and September in 2023. 752 resigned up to August 28 last year. EI's global flagship campaign, Go Public Fund Education, was launched in January 2023.
It's an urgent and much needed call for governments, intergovernmental organizations, and international financing institutions to invest in teachers and invest in public education systems, the necessary precondition to addressing the global teacher shortage.
Joining us to tell us some more about the campaign are the president of the Jamaica Teachers Association, the JTA, Dr. Mark Smith, and campaign manager for Go Public Fund Education, Dr. Angelo Gabrielatos. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Donna Hope, and my co-host is
Ricardo Brooks. Welcome to Nationwide at 5. Dr. Smith?
Are you hearing us?
I'm hearing you now. Go ahead.
This is Dr. Gabrielatos.
No, this is...
Is Dr. Smith? Yes.
No, this is Angelo Gabrielatos speaking at the moment.
Yes, Dr. Gabrielatos.
Dr. Smith?
This is Dr. Gabrielatos.
Is Dr. Smith there?
Dr. Smith is here.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Good evening, Dr. Smith. First of all, tell us a little bit about this partnership between the JTA and Education International.
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting us to speak on this matter. It is something that I think is hugely important. In 2003, Education International launched a global campaign, January 2023, to really draw attention to the need for greater funding across the world to address the 44 million teacher shortage that the world experienced. There are 44 million teachers the world requires. And this is, of course, something that I think we all have to get involved in, helping to address. And so they crafted the entire campaign. It came out of the United Nations Secretary General's report in which he declared that it is critical that teachers are supported to ensure that we can provide children with the highest quality education. And so coming out of a report that was the Secretary General's report from the United Nations, we ended up with this entire campaign devised by Education International, and they have found across the world partners to share in this campaign. And of course, Jamaica Teachers Association seeing the opportunity to help to pivot the country's attention towards the need for us to invest in a very strategic way in the human capital development of the country. We thought it quite timely to partner with our friends from Education International.
So, Dr. Smith, can you tell us what are some of the tenets, the planks of this participation, and how you think it will impact on the challenges that you see in retaining teachers here in Jamaica?
Well, let me first of all say they have 59 recommendations that actually came out of United Nations Secretary General's high-level panel on teaching profession. They got a lot of high-level professionals within the teaching space, economists, former ministers of education from across the world, and put them together to work on these recommendations that were all-encompassing and covered major issues that we were facing within the sector and across the globe.
Dr. Smith?
Dr. Smith?
No, seems we lost him.
It seems that we lost
Dr.
him.
Gabriel Atos?
Have we lost Dr. Gabriel Atos? Are you there?
We've lost both of them.
We've lost both of them.
All right, so we're talking to the president of the JTA, Dr. Mark Smith, and campaign manager of the Go Public Fund Education, Dr. Gabriel Atos. We are discussing the matter of the vexed issue of teacher migration. The Jamaica Teachers Association is collaborating with Education International and the Caribbean Union of Teachers to highlight the trend of teacher migration from the Caribbean and focus on ways in which governments of the region can focus attention on funding education to retain educators. We're going to try to reconnect with them. Let's take a break and come back with more.
Apply for your Sagicor Bank Preferred Prepaid MasterCard today. Load your remittances for everyday spending. Receive cash transfers from any local bank. The time by Sagicor Bank is
7:30.
Come into the parlor. There's a welcome there for you.
Welcome to the Mayor's Parlor with Desmond McKenzie.
From 1 to 6 p.m. every Sunday, you'll now get more of your favorite vintage music.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Nationwide 90 FM will transform your Sunday into a musical time machine that will take you way back.
Come with me. Let's go back in time.
This magic moment.
Journey into yesteryear with Desmond McKenzie in the Mayor's Parlor.
I've got the music to jog your memory and make you smile.
Put your sweet lips a little closer to the phone.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the best in vintage music.
Come into the Mayor's Parlor every Sunday between 1 and 6 p.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Not a mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all the schoolers who are taking beats.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team, Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Welcome back Nationwide at 5 here this Friday evening. I'm Donna Hope with my co-host Ricardo Brooks, and we are talking with the president of the Jamaica Teachers Association, the JTA, Dr. Mark Smith, and campaign manager for Go Public Fund Education, Dr. Angelo Gabrielatos, about the kind of collaborations that are now in place, coming out of work done, of course, at the international level to assist us in trying to stem the flow of teacher migration and, work towards retention and or building up of the teachers in Jamaica and across the region. Dr. Smith, you were making a point before the break and we lost you. Could you continue?
Right. So we have 59 recommendations coming out of a high-level panel. And key among them is enabling the transformation of the teaching profession. And that speaks a lot to the need for us to be able to identify the central elements in transforming the education sector. We understand that teachers are the main driving force and a type of catalyst for the change we want. And so, the program focuses especially on this recommendation for us to ensure that there is adequate funding and support for teacher training as well as teacher development, retention of teachers. Also investing in teachers, looking at the quality that you desire. If you look at countries, for instance, like Singapore and Finland, they take their teachers from top 30% of their secondary cohort, promoting equity and diversity and inclusion. That becomes a critical part of what we have to do, as well as evaluating the status and dignity of the teaching profession, because how it is perceived is so important in being able to attract and retain individuals. I know your personal times, I won't go into all of the
recommendations.
In essence, what is critical is for us to understand that this can really be a game changer in helping us to align. We have a blueprint in the Patterson report that I think, when juxtaposed against the education campaign, provides us with a wonderful tool to mobilize not just our political representatives, but the entire nation. Education is everybody's business, not just teachers, not just educators. We need to get everybody engaged, and so we're happy to have members of the National Parent Teacher Association also present along with our stakeholders.
And so Dr. Smith, so Dr. Gabrielatos, as the campaign manager for Go Public Fund Education, is here with us to assist us in putting forward some of the recommendations and give us an idea of what he's here to do. And I'd like to bring Dr. Gabrielatos here in on this to give us an idea of what the Go Public Fund Education campaign will be doing. What does it do, and how does it work to impact on some of the recommendations made in the larger body of work?
Well, he's really here as a technical expert within the field. Yes. He has worked with several countries, helping them to build out a campaign to mobilize public support for increased funding for education. The reality is we'll never have enough money to do everything we need to do as a country, and as a small island state, we have to leverage our greatest resource, our human capital. What I speak about is not limited to teacher remuneration. We're talking about a comprehensive approach to tackling many of the systemic issues that we face within education and mobilizing the Jamaican populace to get behind this campaign. We're in a campaign period, political period. We're constitutionally due for an election by before September, and certainly we have to get our politicians to start to at least make some pledges and outline their strategic vision for education, because the macroeconomic numbers that we're looking at, as amazing as they look at right now, the truth is we cannot maintain them unless we heavily invest in our human capital as we are growing the economy. But I'll allow Gabriel to explain further.
Dr. Gabriel Atos?
Yes, good evening. It's great to be on your program.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Indeed, it's great to be in Jamaica.
So tell us a little bit about the Go Public Fund Education campaign.
Well, certainly. Personally, let me introduce Education International. Education International is the global union voice of teachers and education workers. We represent more than 33 million teachers and education workers around the world in 178 countries. We have some 300-odd member organisations, and the Jamaican Teachers Association is one of those very proud member organisations of Education International. Education International determined in January of last year, January of 2023 rather, that we have a very urgent and pressing matter that we must bring to the attention of every single government, intergovernmental organisations and international financing institutions around the world. And that urgent matter and pressing matter is the global teacher shortage. Amongst the many issues, the many problems that we see around the world, none are more urgent than the global teacher shortage. The UNESCO predicts an additional 44 million teachers are needed by the end of this decade, and indeed that is only to meet the needs of basic education and primary education. 44 million teachers if we're going to ensure that every child, regardless of background, regardless of whether they're in a large country or a small country, a rich or poor country, has the right to quality public education, has the right to be taught by a qualified teacher every day for every lesson. And yet here we are with a teacher shortage of 44 million globally. In the Latin American Caribbean region, that shortage is predicted at 3.2 million. And indeed, in the opening of your program, you quoted some figures from the Ministry of Education Jamaica, which spoke to more than 1,300 teachers having left education in the last year or so in Jamaica. This is the problem that we're facing. The world needs more teachers, yet we're losing the teachers we have as well. We have a major problem recruiting teachers. We have a major problem returning teachers and retaining teachers. And the reason for it is documented in the United Nations High-Level Panel report on the teaching profession. The reason for it is because of an underinvestment in education, which has resulted in teachers being overworked, underpaid, and undervalued. Go Public Fund Education is ringing the alarm bells around the world and calling on governments to invest in teachers and invest in education to ensure that every child has the right to achieve his fullest and her fullest potential, and that can only be guaranteed by a qualified teacher in front of every classroom every day.
And is there Dr. Gabriel Atos, is there a base level in terms of salary or investment that you think government in the region should be making in order to retain their teachers?
It's not what I think, it's what the United Nations High-Level Panel recommends. It recommends very clearly that teachers must be paid a competitive salary when compared to other professions. What we need, and any labour market analyst will tell you this, salaries are a very important signal in the labour market. If those salaries are low, if they're not competitive to other comparable professions, people will go elsewhere, and we're seeing that in education. The answer lies in ensuring teacher salaries are competitive in comparison to other professions. The answer lies in ensuring that teachers' working conditions are manageable, and the answer lies in ensuring a job security for the teaching profession if we are to attract and retain the teachers we need. The United Nations High-Level Panel recommendations, 59 of them, and I think Dr. Smith already spoke to this. They offer a blueprint. They offer a blueprint, a framework for the change needed if we are going to arrest the global teacher shortage, if we are going to make sure that every child is taught by a qualified teacher every single day. It's a question for the Jamaican government, and indeed it's a question for the Jamaican politicians at large. I understand there'll be an election later this year, and as we see it, there is no issue more important than education, and we would hope to see, in the context of that election, political parties take the matter of the teacher shortage seriously and make pledges that will ultimately invest in teachers, invest in education, so we can guarantee the right of every child to achieve their full potential. The future prosperity of this country, the future productivity of this country, like every other country around the world, depends on its citizenry. And there's no greater investment a country can make to the future productivity and prosperity of their nation than by ensuring they invest in education for every child, to meet every child's needs.
Dr. Gabriel Atos, Dr. Smith, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We take the break, and after the break, it'll be time for your calls. 630-937-124, 618-8255.
It's the weekend and the youth are taking over the airwaves. Yes, we are the new voices and faces of the Talk Up You radio show. The voice of the Jamaican youth right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
After a busy week of work and school, come and wine with Jamaica's #1 youth radio show.
We're bringing you entertainment, fun facts, and staying true to youth development and advocacy.
Catch the action each and every Saturday as we roll out buzzy segments. What say you?
Youth for chat.
Life skills.
Global Connect.
And Bust the Youth.
That's the Talk Up Youth radio show. Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM.
Talk Up Youth, Miss Effie.
Talk Up Youth. Don't miss it.
Nationwide 90 FM wants to help you find your home sweet home with all things real estate. A 15-minute program during Nationwide this morning, every Wednesday at 8:35 a.m. All Things Real Estate gives you expert advice on how to navigate the process of owning any real estate, from residential and commercial to industrial or even vacant real estate. We'll guide you through every square foot of information. Now, let's turn that for sale into sold with All Things Real Estate every Wednesday at 8:35 a.m. on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
None of mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all the schoolers who are taking beats.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team, Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Welcome back, Nationwide at 5, and we're in our last segment for the evening, and I think we're going to be taking your calls right now. Of course, I'm your co-host, Donna Hope, yes, and we're supposed to be doing a time signal. Okay. Ian, we have a caller. Hi, Ian, good evening, welcome to the program.
Hi, good evening, Donna, how are you?
I am fair to find with intermittent showers.
Okay. Well, I acknowledge your listeners. I call because I've been reflecting on the budget all day. Mm-hmm. All day I've been reflecting on the budget, and I am trying to take because it was a lot to digest from that budget. It was so much that was given. But as a Jamaican, mm-hmm. I look back as to where we were and where we are and where we are headed. And I will say that I am very proud of our Prime Minister. I'm a proud Jamaican today because of the Prime Minister we have today, and I'll tell you why. I listened to the Honorable Prime Minister yesterday, and you could see a leader that is in command, who understands what is needed at this time, and who also control the temperament, the tone. I mean, yeah, that time in his budget presentation when he makes the joke to ridicule the whole matter of the whole paternity, who is responsible for what's happening. And then he transitioned back, put fun and joke aside, and begin to dig into the real issues of Jamaica. And you listen and you hear a leader who seems to hold no malice or any grudge, but just want to see the best for Jamaica. I mean, he gave Dr. Peter Phillips credit. He gave the Honorable Portia Simpson Miller credit. He gave Bruce Golding credit. He gave Nigel Clark credit. He gave Manayard Hardy Shaw credit. And he went after and said, hey guys, look, let us just look at these things and begin to put Jamaica together, that Jamaica can be that country that stands ready to the world. And we know that Jamaica is a big brand, you know. Jamaica is a big brand internationally when it comes on to sports and many other things.
Music, don't forget the music.
Etc. Yeah. But when it comes on to our economy, it's usually where we get a beating. And to see a Prime Minister such as Andrew Holness at this time, the Honorable Andrew Holness, I would say to Jamaica, this is what we want. This is good for our country. This is good for our future.
So Ian, so do you think that this budget, the Prime Minister's budget, the Honorable Dr. Andrew Holness's budget presentation yesterday, is going to push him over the edge and bring him back into Gordon House post the election, whenever it's called?
I believe he will. I tell you, one of the things with Jamaica, I bet on Jamaicans any day. Jamaican people are smart. I remember years ago, I believe it was Sean Paul, who said he thanked the Jamaican people for sharpening his skill, because if he was to go on stage and was doing foolishness, he would boo, they would boo him. And he said the Jamaicans is the hardest crowd to please. So he always makes sure that whenever he comes to perform, he's in his top gear. And the Prime Minister has demonstrated a level of maturity, a level of understanding. You see, the problem with Mark Golding and the PMP, though, it's a sense of I respect Mark Golding as a successful businessman, and I hear he talks about what his father has done for Jamaica, and no one will take that away from him. But his approach is just so wrong. To me, he's I don't know if I want to say, but he doesn't behave mature to me as a leader. Let me put it that way.
So you have already picked your side already, Ian.
No, it's
not just with the budget, not with the budget, but it sounds as if you have already chosen your party leader.
Because I used to support Portia. I love Portia.
Sister P, Mama P.
Sister P, I love her. I was telling someone yesterday that I miss her kiss, right? Because she is that person who loves the people, and you could feel it, right? But you don't feel anything from Mark Golding. You neither feel the love, or you neither feel someone who understands really what's happening. What you really feel from Mark Golding is someone who just wants power to prove something.
We have to give another caller a chance, Ian.
Thank you, Ian.
But thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much. Have a good weekend.
Lady J, good evening.
Hi, good evening, Ricardo, Dr. Hope.
Good evening, Sharon.
Professor Hope.
Professor Esther Hovey.
Thank you,
Get it
Ricardo.
right, get it right,
Thank you.
get it right.
Earlier.
Yes.
Yes, I just want to share my observation, you know. Now, Mark Golding and Julian in the debate, I believe that they performed so dismally, you know, because I remember Dayton Campbell came on this program and he spoke about the integrity report. And they were anticipating that. No anticipating. He said it that when this report comes out, Andrew has no other choice but to call an election. However, the script has been shifted on them. So they have nothing to come and tell the people. I guess the plan with the NHT was the best plan that came out of it, the budget debate. So they had no plan. They wanted to get into power by tearing down Andrew, hammering Andrew. Every talk, Margolin talk, is all about Andrew and his thing not ratified by the Integrity Commission. They did no research, nothing to come to the people of Jamaica with. There is something called access to information. Yes? 4 years they're out there campaigning. They had no time to prepare a good budget speech as an alternative government for the Jamaican people. They think gimmickry, lie, and think can put them there. Nothing can go like that. Those days are past and gone. Jamaica now, we are awakened by a new level of governance never seen before in this country. You can't come with a 2-card and 3-card trick again. It ain't gonna work.
May I ask you something, though, Lady J? Do you think that the majority of the Jamaican people are thinking the way you're thinking this evening? Do you think so?
I do believe because, listen, Andrew takes the people along with him.
Yeah.
Yes.
He educates us, okay? And help us to expect great. You know, you have $100, in tell we, oh, I'm going to spend that $100. In tell, listen, don't play with this $100, you know, it's your rent money.
Yes.
It got to stay there. First time I used to see, you know, every time you get loan to borrow some big check, you see Prime Minister and lender shake hands, you know. I've not seen that in ages. Have you seen any of that, Ricardo?
You're not seeing the borrowing.
You're not seeing the borrowing.
Yes.
No, I'm not seeing that.
And the celebration of the interest rate we get.
So we see a capable government doing the best for its people. While Damien down the country speaking is like it's two people speaking, you know. Damien down the country talking something, you know, that does not align with what the leader and the finance ministers are saying, you know. I hope Nationwide get on this. He want to give every student free lunch.
Is it every student or needy student?
Needy students. So it's needy. Yeah, not every needy. It's usually needy. A lot of the politicians focus on the needy students and families that are in need. Yes.
Well, I never hear the needy from him, you know.
Yeah, man, it's needy students.
I never heard that, so I stand corrected. However, this marathon budget debate yesterday, I welcome it. I sat and I listened from start to finish. Listen to me, man. The young man is in a class by himself, and he's taking the Jamaican people with him. No lie, no trickery, no gimmickry, and coming to Parliament campaigning. He set the record straight and tell us how he's going to move forward with the Jamaican people.
We're gonna
And
leave it
that
there.
is
We're gonna give
clear.
another. We're gonna give another caller a chance to join to share with us.
Thanks, Lady
Thank
J.
you so much, Lady J. Anthony, good evening. Good evening. Not hearing Anthony.
Good evening.
Oh, yes, we're hearing you
You
now,
hear me,
Anthony.
Prof?
Yes, we're hearing you now,
How are
Anthony.
you?
Yes.
Good evening,
Good
Anthony. I'm
evening.
doing well.
Doing well. Doing well.
All right. So, Ricardo,
Yes, sir.
I heard Donovan Wignall earlier saying that he didn't care much about the first part of the Prime Minister's presentation. But history is good, especially for the young people. My daughter, who is 17, listened to the entire budget presentation yesterday, and we would have heard the former Prime Minister setting the record straight couple weeks ago and whatever and all of those things. And of course the young people would have had questions to ask. Questions. So when the Prime Minister came yesterday and give a little history lesson, I think it was very good, especially for the younger generation who maybe wasn't born yet, or who was born but didn't understand or knew what had gone, what had happened, and stuff. So it was refreshing and appreciated. Ricardo, another thing that about the presentation yesterday, and this is just me dissecting the presentation, is did you see how the Prime Minister appreciate Mr. Paul? Well, said, "Hey, Mama P called me her son at one point. I was like the second, you were the first, and stuff and all of that." So he associates himself with former Prime Minister Portia Simpson in big up Dr. Phillips for supporting the SOEs and whatever and all of those things. And then he said that, but listen, the problem we have is with this present leader and stuff. So in the context of debating Ricardo, I think he scored very, very high without being what I call disrespectful or low blows and all of those stuff. I think the point was solid in terms of that. And then he also brings meat on the bones.
Yeah.
Everything that he presents, he had data to back it up.
We're out of time.
And I think that was good.
We're out of time, Anthony. Thank you for the call as always. I appreciate the perspectives.
Have a good weekend.
That's all the time we have. This is the final show. That's it for tonight and for the week. Yeah. Dana Davey. Thank you so much, Dana. Andrew Glenn Anderson, the man behind the controls. Bugs. Thank you. My colleagues in the newsroom, the very best in the business, led by our editor, Cara Powell, our sponsors, contributors, and you, our valued listeners. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Donna Hope. Have a good weekend.
Are you ready to turn your sales and marketing skills into high earnings? Nationwide 90 FM is searching for business development executives to help us grow our business and build lasting client relationships. If you have experience across all stages of the sales cycle and possess strong communication, negotiation, and time management skills with a proven sales track record, this opportunity is perfect for you. Join our team and work with the top corporate brands, media agencies, and of course, our on-air personalities. Enjoy networking opportunities, professional growth, and competitive commissions. Ready to take the next step? Send your resume to hr@nationwidenewsnetwork.com today. Exciting news! The Design Studio Nationwide 90 FM just got a whole lot bigger. Join us this and every Saturday now from 1 to 3 p.m. for an exclusive show that elevates your home, mind, and soul. Discover the latest interior design trends to create your dream sanctuary. Unlock your true potential with personal growth strategies. Nourish your body and spirit with expert wellness tips. Don't miss out on the inspiration you need to live your best life. Tune in to the Design Studio this and every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. and take the first step towards